Hey everyone, per your requests, I'm starting Soul Land 5, The Rebirth of Tang today. My channel isn't monetized, so if you're able to, please support me on PayPal to help me stay active. Chapters 241 through 260 of the previous episode, Tang secretly protects Mei Gongzi during her assassination of the Titan Bear Clan leader. Although Mei Gongzi successfully uses the poisoned godly Zhuge crossbow combined with her spatial abilities to secure the kill, Tang is forced to reveal himself to cover her tracks and help her escape. When Mei Gongzi grows suspicious and attacks him with her formidable spatial powers, Tang under the alias Asura uses his God King consciousness to neutralize the attack. He then reveals his orange-class mark of the Redemption Society to prove he is an ally, prompting Mei Gongzi to disclose her true identity as a highly crucial blue-class member. Back at the academy, Tang consumes a dragon tendon fruit to temper his physique and forges the Sky Shatterer hammer from Heavenly Fire Essence Iron to nourish his spiritual power. He also teaches Wu Bingji the flicking dart technique and equips his team with advanced mechanical hidden weapons. A major crisis erupts when the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor and an elite delegation from the Ancestral Court suddenly descend upon Kali's city. Using the disappearance of the Ice Dragon Great Demon King as a pretext, they aim to usurp the power of the Peacock Great Demon King, Mei Gongzi's father. A world-shaking battle ensues between the two supreme beings. During the chaos, Mei Gongzi is abducted by the god-level Dark Raven Demon King. Despite revealing her secondary White Tiger bloodline to fight back, she is overwhelmed. At the critical moment, Tang intervenes. By unleashing his God King consciousness, fused with the discerning eye of heaven, he not only paralyzes the Dark Raven Demon King, but also activates a mysterious power that connects directly to the Endless Blue Sea, triggering a massive oceanic anomaly and signaling an impending, earth-shattering event. Thank you. Now let's get back to the story of Soul Land 5, The Rebirth of Tang.
The Peacock Great Demon King lifted his head, his gaze still filled with indifference, showing not the slightest intent to submit. Give up and submit to me. Although you must die, I can ensure your people survive under my rule. Kali City will also remain unharmed. After all, this is where she lives. I do not wish to disrupt her way of life, the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor said coldly. Do you think you have one? Even if we burn all our ancestral fortune, the Peacock clan will never submit, the Peacock Great Demon King retorted in an equally cold tone. As he spoke, the peacock crown on his forehead, which had become somewhat ethereal, suddenly brightened again. Golden flames burst out from the crown, fueled by the crown itself. Have you gone mad? Burning the golden crown is the same as burning your ancestral fortune. Not only will you die, but once your lineage loses all its ancestral fortune, you will all perish. The Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor hadn't opposed. He expected the Peacock Great Demon King to take such an extreme measure. So what? Even if my entire clan is annihilated, you will live the rest of your life in regret. Let and oppose. See whether I and oppose. I'll drag you down with me, or if you'll barely cling to life. Even if you do, you'll suffer endless agony in the future. The Peacock Great Demon King and Apos. eyes seemed to grow crazier as the ancestral fortune burned. The Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor and Apos. Face darkened, understanding that even if he killed the Peacock Great Demon King in this state, he would surely be gravely wounded in the process. However, at this moment, he had no way out, and neither did the Peacock Great Demon King. Failing to stop the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor meant his death, and the potential annihilation of the entire Peacock demon race. The fourth assault thus commenced. With dazzling crystalline brilliance, the enormous Crystal Phoenix dove straight for the peacock. The brilliant silver light also peaked again, and the burning peacock crown burst with golden radiance, causing Kali City to quake violently. At that moment, at the distant horizon, the clouds suddenly thickened. A massive pressure appeared, feeling as if it connected heaven and earth. A giant wall of clouds converged toward Kali City. As the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor dove toward the Peacock Great Demon King, both noticed the emergence of the clouds. The terrifying pressure weighed down on their hearts, and their first thoughts were, naturally, that the others' reinforcements had arrived. But at this point, both sides were like arrows on fully drawn bows, and they could not hold back even if they wanted to. The collision was instantaneous. Silver light erupted violently, and for once, Kali City faced no turmoil. The power of ancestral fortune, invoked at the cost of burning his own golden crown, allowed the Peacock Great Demon King to gain the upper hand for the first time. The Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor was suddenly transported far away, and upon reappearing, his golden glow was greatly diminished. The gold of the second phoenix tail feather faded away, and even the gold on the last feather dimmed significantly. His aura weakened greatly. The cost to the Peacock Great Demon King was the collapse of more than half of his golden crown, with the flames burning out almost entirely, his gaze dim and lifeless, and his life force plummeting rapidly. The strong within the city, whether they were of the Peacock Demon race or had followed the Great Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor, all focused on this battle. No one had anticipated the Peacock Great Demon King would display such tenacity. With Kali City as his support, he had managed not just to withstand the attacks, but even to injure the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor severely. By this point he was undeniably at the end of his strength. But would the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor launch a final strike? It was evident to all that even if he could win, the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor would likely suffer irreversible, grave injuries. He had just condensed his third phoenix tail feather, and that made him the least powerful of all demon emperors. Even worse, having just ascended, his foundation was not yet stable. Should the golden light of his three tails extinguish, losing his foundation and possibly falling back to the level of Great Demon King was not out of the question. Yet at this moment, the shadowy clouds that had been distant a moment ago now loomed over Kali City. Under the immense heaven-reaching pressure, light seemed distorted, as if sunbeams were reflected off the surface of waves. Within the clouds, enormous water tornadoes appeared with a terrifying momentum, as if the clouds were about to crush the city. Meanwhile, within the Kali Mountains, Dai Yanning, the Dark Raven Demon King, was even more fearful and uncertain. The masked human male standing before him, holding Mei Gongzi in his arms, looked at him indifferently. But an overwhelming pressure washed over him, making the Dark Raven Demon King feel like he couldn't oppose. T-move. This was the powerful oppressive force of a superior being, nearly forcing him to prostrate himself. He was a demon king, a god-level demon king. He had no reason to feel this way, even in the face of a demon emperor. Yet, his divine consciousness trembled uncontrollably. The human before him was nothing but a bug. Yet he now appeared towering, eclipsing even the two mighty beings battling in the distant sky. Who is he? What is he? Azura slowly floated toward Dai Yanning. The dark clouds in the distant sky grew increasingly intense, so the two great powers fighting in the air ceased their battle to face the clouds and oppose. Coming. Only Dai Yanning could feel that the sky-covering clouds seemed to be the backdrop of this man before him. Azura slowly raised his hand, gently pressing it against his forehead. Instantly, a speck of golden light appeared, and in the next moment, the golden light spread across his entire body like gilded paint. An immense aura of majesty burst forth from him. Overwhelmed by intense fear, Dai Yanning could no longer control himself. Black mist erupted, and he instantly fled toward the distance, turning into a misty arrow in an attempt to escape with his fastest movement technique. However, he only moved when he found that everything around him had frozen. Even more terrifying was that his body, which had turned into mist, was forcibly recondensed. The golden figure reappeared before him at some unknown time as if he had never moved. This time, behind the golden figure, there was a faint, towering, illusory shadow, presented in water blue. It vaguely looked like a human holding a golden trident. The trident slowly pointed at him, and the rings of golden light it emitted rendered him immobile. A hand pressed against Dai Yanning and Appo's forehead, and in the next instant, Dai Yanning felt his energy and even his divine consciousness pouring out instantly. At this very moment, in the distant sky amid the vast clouds, a water blue figure also took shape, a gigantic apparition standing at 1,000 meters tall, holding a golden trident, gazing at the Peacock Great Demon King and the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor battling in the air. Both mighty beings felt they were facing a formidable enemy. They felt as if someone who had the entire endless blue sea backing them had suddenly appeared. A powerhouse from the endless blue sea? So there actually was such a formidable existence in the endless blue sea? The golden trident was slowly raised, then pointed from afar toward the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor. At that moment, the heavily injured Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor felt a chill that made his hair stand on end. Was this the reinforcements called by the Peacock Great Demon King? A majestic voice resounded through the heavens. Those who threaten the ocean shall die. I am the sea god. The golden trident pointed toward the Peacock Great Demon King as he spoke, and torrential rain poured down. Under the illumination of that gigantic blue figure, it seemed as though dry land had turned into an ocean. Light and shadows filled the sky, with countless sea tribe figures flickering in and out of view within the water curtain. The Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor and the Peacock Great Demon King exchanged glances, equally filled with bewilderment. Then the clouds suddenly dispersed like rivers flowing into the sea, heading toward the ocean and vanishing instantly, leaving only trails of vibrant and splendid rainbows in the sky. Everything happened quickly and ended just as swiftly. If the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor had been at his peak, he would undoubtedly have moved to probe this so-called sea god and Apos' sudden appearance. What was his relation to Kali City? Actually, it seemed the presence was not directed at him but at his battle with the Peacock Great Demon King. So was the sea god's appearance a threat or something else? Could it be a declaration that the endless blue sea now had a master of its own? The silhouette's aura was so powerful that the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor felt a pressure superior to his own. Yet that silhouette was clearly nothing more than a projection of the true body. The Peacock Great Demon King was equally baffled, extinguishing the flames atop his golden crown while wondering when the sea clans had given rise to such a powerful entity. As the city closest to the sea, Kali City had some interactions with the creatures of the endless blue sea, yet to the best of his knowledge, there had never been a sea god there. There was no such god. Right? Both mighty beings were perplexed, but the flames of their battle were gradually replaced by rational thought, especially for the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor. He had forsaken the woman he loved most and endured countless hardships to ascend to the Demon Emperor level. If he continued to fight, to challenge the depth of the Peacock Demon clan and Apos' heritage with his strength alone, the losses might just outweigh the gains. Moreover, the Peacock Great Demon King and Apos' injuries were far more severe than his own. Even assuming he would survive this ordeal, and even that was questionable, he could forget about ever becoming a demon emperor. As for himself, he had all the time in the world. Once his cultivation stabilized, he would have plenty of opportunities to settle the score. The myriad crystal colors converged, and the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor transformed back into a human form. His face, so beautiful it was almost feminine, was icy cold, and he eyed the Peacock Great Demon King with a sneer at the corner of his mouth. Let and Apos' ended here for today, but I will return. I will report your collusion with the sea clans to the ancestral court. You better be ready to explain. The Peacock Great Demon King said nothing more. The silver light enveloping Kali City quickly faded, and it transformed back into a human form, vanishing amidst flashes of silver light. We're leaving. The Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor commanded coldly. From within Kali City, the Pegasus chariot soared, carrying the entire convoy high into the air. They flew far away with the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor. I will return. The voice of the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor echoed throughout Kali City, swirling around the milk tea shop near Kali Square. Within Kali City, it was only now that constrained breaths could be heard. Countless beings were just coming to their senses. The feeling of a close brush with death filled every denizen with a profound dread. Inside the city lord's mansion, silence reigned even more profoundly at this moment. Neither the Peacock Demon clan nor the major races of Kali City cheered. All the Peacock demons present were pale-faced, because the Peacock Great Demon King had drawn upon the ancestral fortune of the Peacock Demon clan in his battle against the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor, and they were well aware that this fortune affected all of them. The Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor had not fled in defeat but left for understandable reasons. But whether he was scared off or unwilling to resort to mutual destruction, he would undoubtedly return, and then, who could stop him then? With the ancestral fortune burned, no one knew how severe the Peacock Great Demon King and Apos' injuries were. And what do we do when the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor comes back? The other Horndeer Demon King took a deep breath and said, Let today and Apos' events end here. We must quickly pacify the people, repair the buildings, and assess the situation within the city. the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor rashly attacked Kali City, disregarding the rules of the ancestral court and threatening the safety of all beings in the city. We must report this to the ancestral court. The Demon Kings nodded in agreement, though it was easier said than done. Despite its remoteness, Kali City was one of the main cities, continuing the demon race and Appo's fortune. If the main city had been breached, countless lives would have been lost, something the ancestral court would never allow. However, since such a disaster had not occurred, and the perpetrator was one of the great demon kings, there would be a light punishment at most. But at the very least, actions must be taken to deter the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor from returning soon, giving Kali City a chance to breathe. Wang Han and Wang Yu exchanged glances and left in a flash of silver light. They needed to ascertain the Peacock Great Demon King and Appo's condition immediately. Though they were all great demon kings, the true pillar of the clan was still him. Kali City, Kali Square. The Mei Gongzi milk tea shop had no customers. All the shops were empty now. Obviously, the apocalyptic scene had frightened everyone. Who would dare to be outside at such a time? Su Qin stared blankly at the sky. Yet the clear sky could not dispel the gloom in her heart. He came back. He's a demon emperor now. They fought against each other again and both got injured. And when he said he'll return again, he said it for me to hear. At this moment, she did not know how she should feel. Perhaps, as a human, she was supposed to be happy that two major figures of the demon world were trying to kill each other. Yet, deep within her heart, the trace of excitement seemed to be there for an entirely different reason. Shikuden and Appo's helped but recall that night, which she would never forget. He left and it arrived. When Mei Gongzi woke up, she found herself lying in a hammock. The two ends of the hammock were tied to two large trees. The hammock was made of bamboo, with thick bamboo split from one side and then divided into strips that were not completely detached, allowing it to open up from the center. Large leaves were laid on top, making it stable and comfortable and preventing ground moisture from reaching her. A piece of clothing covered her, and the fresh air mixed with the unique moisture of the mountains lingered at her nostrils. There was no discomfort in her body. Instead, she felt more spirited and full of energy. "You and Appo's." Reawake, a familiar voice sounded. Mei Gongzi turned over and sat up. She saw the man wearing a mask. He had built a bonfire. It was already late at night, but the fire drove away the mosquitoes and moisture, bringing warmth. Mei Gongzi looked around and didn't Appo's see anyone else. Everything seemed very normal. Just a normal campfire in the woods. "Where is the Dark Raven Demon King?" she asked. Azura smiled and said he fled. "After you fainted, I tried to escape with you. He pursued us relentlessly. Just when he was about to catch us, the battle over at Kali City ended." "How are things?" Mei Gongzi asked nervously. Azura said it and Appo's a case of mutual defeat. The Peacock Great Demon King and Appo's injuries are more severe, affecting his very foundation, so the prognosis is not very good. However, the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor is also not lightly wounded and he probably needs a long time to recover. At least for now, Kali City is safe. Mei Gongzi let out a sigh of relief, her beautiful eyes shimmering. She looked at Azura and said, "Thank you for saving me again." Azura smiled faintly and said, "Just good luck. How come you were there to save me at the right time? How did you know the Dark Raven Demon King took me away?" Mei Gongzi suddenly asked. This question had been on her mind from the first moment. Azura said, "You will know in the future, but I can and Appo's tell you now." Mei Gongzi frowned slightly and jumped down from the hammock. "You and Appo's, very mysterious. I don and Appo's mysterious behavior of yours." Azura said, "This is to protect myself." "And to protect you," he added to himself. Mei Gongzi fell silent, staring blankly at the bonfire, lost in thought. After a long moment, she finally said in a deep voice, "I must return. Now that the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor has retreated, they will surely come looking for me." "All right, I and Appo's, I'll take you there." Azura did not insist on her staying. He casually extinguished the bonfire in front of him. He accompanied her until they were near Kali Academy, and he stopped there. "Go ahead. The academy should be safe for you," Azura said softly. Mei Gongzi glanced at him, her eyes filled with a complex expression. The next instant, her figure flickered, heading toward Kali Academy. Watching Mei Gongzi leave, Azura and Appo's lips slightly curved upward. His body only slightly swayed then, and his eyes noticeably dimmed. Is it worth it? Course it is. For her, everything is worth it. His steps were somewhat heavy as he headed toward the back mountain. This day was the most perilous one for him since arriving in this world. It was also the first time he had truly used his divine consciousness. The power of his divine consciousness was almost completely drained, and he was barely able to keep himself together. His divine consciousness had slowly grown more substantial, yet it was now barely flickering like a candle in the wind. Even so, he had absolutely no regrets. Removing his mask, Azura transformed back into Tang San. Only upon returning to his room at Redemption Academy did he fully relax. His entire body collapsed, his internal aura chaotic. Taking a deep breath, he barely managed to start circulating his energy, regulating his condition. Once he relaxed from that tightly wound state, an overwhelming sense of fatigue made him want to fall into a deep sleep immediately, but he knew sleep was one thing he could not afford right now. If he slept now instead of actively recovering, his divine consciousness might truly be extinguished. Therefore, he could only force himself to stay awake, silently spinning his energy vortex, drawing on his soul and spirit core that were communicating with each other, and nurturing himself. Facing a god-level demon king, even 1,000 tactics could not bridge the gap between realms. Thus, when the Dark Raven Demon King took Mei Gongzi away, he immediately resolved himself to use his divine consciousness if push came to shove. At that moment, he Kuden and Appo's fathomed the dangers Mei Gongzi might face after being taken. He later came to understand some of the situation, but even with those facts in mind, rescuing Mei Gongzi was undoubtedly the wisest course of action. Mei Gongzi and Appo's own well-informed reasoning led her to the same conclusion, so she also chose to escape at the first opportunity. The Dark Raven Demon King Kuden and Appo's catch up. With the power of his divine consciousness and the Blue-Silver Emperor, Tang San easily concealed both his and Mei Gongzi and Appo's auras. He breathed a sigh of relief at that time, feeling that there was no need to use his divine consciousness after all. He would just sit back and watch the fight. However, he later understood that he Kuden and Appo's just watch. The battle between the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor and the Peacock Great Demon King threatened the entirety of Kali City. In the end, the Peacock Great Demon King was her father. Even if the fathers of all demons deserved to be killed, and their grandfathers too, he was still her father. And her mother was there in Kali City Square. In addition, judging from the situation, if Kali City fell into the hands of the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor, everything that Tang San had built here might well end up destroyed, an outcome he wished to avoid before reaching godhood. Moreover, Mei Gongzi and Appo's ultimate goal was to succeed the Peacock Great Demon King and take control of the Peacock Demon race, securing a sanctuary and living space for humanity. Thus, from any perspective, the situation in Kali City must not be altered. The Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor must not succeed. That the Dark Raven Demon King then found them was no coincidence, but Tang San's plan. He deliberately lifted the concealment of his and Mei Gongzi and Appo's auras, attracting their pursuer. By stirring that bit of divine consciousness, he could temporarily imbue himself with a trace of his aura from a previous life, but he lacked the energy to sustain even that trace. Hence, luring the Dark Raven Demon King away from Kali City and making use of him was the best choice. The display of the sea god's majesty, besides the divine consciousness Tang San expended, was also supported by the spiritual energy and bloodline energy of the Dark Raven Demon King. Tang San could easily suppress a god-level demon king with his level of divine consciousness. The presence he projected in Kali City then became the best deterrent. And since he did it before either party was grievously injured or killed, it was sufficient to dispel any thoughts of continuing the battle. Of course, all this came at the cost of depleting his divine consciousness. In addition, the toll it took on his overall energy was immense. Had it not been for the constant tension of protecting Mei Gongzi, he might have collapsed from exhaustion long ago. His divine consciousness might take a year or two to fully recover, and it required careful nurturing. Of course, devouring the god-level bloodline power of the Dark Raven Demon King also had its benefits, significantly enhancing his physical strength and pushing his cultivation of the mysterious heaven technique to a much higher level, despite most of the energy being consumed in order to maintain the sea god and Appo's presence. Overall, the outcome was favorable. From the Dark Raven Demon King, Tang San had acquired a storage bag, which undoubtedly contained many valuable items. However, he had no time to sort through them at the moment. The entirety of Kali City was restless. Beings of a demon emperor and Appo's level Haddon and Appo's made a public appearance in many years, yet this time not only had one of them acted, but he had also targeted Kali City, home to the peacock demon race that had guarded it for centuries. This naturally stirred a huge uproar in Kali City, and would even have an unfathomable impact on the entire Empyrean Dominion. Most importantly, the outcome of this battle was not a victory for the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor. At least on the surface, both parties ended up in a mutually damaging stalemate. The fact that the Lord of Kali City, the Peacock Great Demon King, managed to withstand an assault from a demon emperor made many of the city and Appo's nobles reassess the strength of the Peacock demon race. At the same time, the ancestral court would surely react. If the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor had won this battle, coupled with the disappearance of the Ice Dragon Great Demon King, they could have used this as a cover to oppress and lay many charges against the Peacock demon race, thereby seizing Kali City in one fell swoop. However, the problem was that the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor had not won this time, but rather suffered heavy injuries. What could they say about it now? Strength had always been paramount in the world of demons, and reason was on the side of the one with the bigger fist. Those without strength had no rights to reason with others. The Peacock Great Demon King, by burning his ancestral fortune, had managed to injure the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor severely, and the emergence of that terrifying phantom figure from the sea at the end would certainly make the ancestral court view Kali City in a new light. The changes in the coming days were bound to be many. The Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor's best opportunity to suppress Kali City had been right now, right after ascending to the 12th tier. Missing this chance and failing to suppress his opponent made a second attempt much more difficult. After all, it wasn't like the Peacock Demon clan had no allies at all within the ancestral court. Once they demonstrated sufficient strength, they would naturally have a word to say in the matter. Thus, the great battle had ended, yet its true impact had only just begun. The ripples caused by this incident would reach far and wide, for who knew how long. At Redemption Academy, as the morning sun rose again at dawn, everything seemed to have returned to peace. Only the damaged buildings of Kali City still bore the remnants of yesterday and Appo's earth-shattering battle. Dubai stood on his rooftop, gazing into the distant east, silently cultivating his celestial fox vision. His fifth-order celestial fox vision made it seem as if he could peer into another world, allowing him to feel more and more the incredible traits of his top-tier bloodline. Even his entire demeanor appeared to have undergone a metamorphosis. He had grown more confident, and his aura had an ethereal quality. As long as he shut his mouth, he bore the appearance of a graceful and handsome young man, even with a hint of scholarly elegance. A figure flashed into existence beside him, none other than Tang San. Not far away, Gu Li Chengzicheng and Wu Bingji also made their way onto the next-door rooftop. Their entire team was cultivating the purple demon eyes with notable results. Enhancing their spiritual power was immensely beneficial to their cultivations. Dubai glanced at Tang San and whispered, "Little Tang, you look pale. Did something happen? Were you frightened by yesterday's great battle? I looked for you then, but you weren't in Appo's in your room. Where were you?" Tang San shook his head. "It in Appo's? Nothing, I'm just feeling tired. I was at Kali Academy when it started, so it wasn't that bad." Dubai said with a longing look, "It was amazing, really amazing. Can demons be so powerful? And does that mean the demonic god transformation could also be that powerful? That's the level I'm aiming for." Tang San gave him a side glance and said, "Don and Appo's, get ahead of yourself. Let and Appo's talk after you reach the 7th order." Dubai excitedly said, "You have no idea how powerful I am now. You know I've been practicing influencing luck in a small area, right? Well, not only can I enhance my own luck more, but I can also bring more misfortune to others." It's gonna be super useful when I want to prank someone. Hearing his bragging, Tang San felt an urge to facepalm. If the Celestial Fox Demon Emperor knew you were using the Celestial Fox vision to prank people, I wonder if he'd smack you to death. No, he would definitely smack you to death. Tang San naturally knew the effects of the Fifth Order Celestial Fox vision better than Du Bai himself, having experimented with it more than Du Bai had. Moreover, he had already used it to kill the Leopard Flash King. After everyone finished cultivating their purple demon eyes, they went to get breakfast, and as they ate, they received a notice from their teachers. All academy students were to gather for a meeting. After the meal, when Tang San and the others arrived in the outer courtyard, they found most people, including the mayor, Si Ru, Guanlongjiang, Mu Wenqing, and Mu Yunyu, already gathered there. The 5 teachers stood in a row, each with a serious expression on their face. Zhang Haoxuan and Appo's gaze swept across all the students and Appo's faces, eventually pausing on Tang San. Seeing Tang San and Appo's slightly pale complexion, he couldn't and Appo's help but frown, but right now he had other priorities. Soon all the students had assembled. Zhang Haoxuan took the initiative to speak, and his tone was grave. Everyone must have seen the battle over Kali City yesterday. As far as we know, it was a confrontation between a newly ascended demon emperor from the ancestral court and the Peacock Demon clan. In the end, both sides suffered losses, and the great Peacock Demon King was likely more seriously injured. This has led to instability in Kali City and Appo's political situation. No one is allowed to enter Kali City to avoid getting involved. This ban is provisionally set for 3 months. Everyone should stay within the academy to focus on their cultivation. All external practical training is temporarily cancelled. We will clarify the situation as soon as possible. He paused for a moment. The Redemption Society was established for the rise of humanity, and you all saw the battle yesterday. It was a fight at the pinnacle of this world. The Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor is just a newly ascended Demon Emperor, the weakest in their ranks. Yet, even his level is still far, far out of our reach. Each of us is still in the midst of a long and arduous journey. We all must put in even more effort if we are to one day stand a chance against them, to fight for a glimmer of hope for humanity. Think of your past, think of our fellow humans, and then look at these powerful enemies. What excuse do we have not to try harder? The students all remained silent. They had all seen the battle yesterday clearly. Beyond the intense shock, there was a profound sense of dread. That apocalyptic scene had been caused by just 2 demons. Forget about the students in Redemption Academy. Even Kali City itself had nearly gotten destroyed because of their clash. Compared to such world-destroying power, what was their strength worth? The impact on Tang San and Appo's team was especially significant. Recently, whether it was Wu Bingji, Gu Li, Chang Zicheng, or Du Bai, their cultivation had improved greatly, which had naturally given birth to a bit of arrogance. But after witnessing yesterday and Appo's battle, any pride in their hearts was instantly flattened. Compared to such terrifying power, what were they really worth? Zhang Haoxuan and Appo's gaze swept over each student and Appo's face once more, finally settling into calmness. He said in a deep voice, that and Appo's all for now. We and Appo's begin class shortly. Tang San, come with me. Yes, Tang San replied, and followed the swiftly departing Zhang Haoxuan. It wasn't an Appo's until then that the students relaxed, exchanging looks with heavy hearts. Indeed, it wasn't an Appo's just the students who felt a sense of oppression. The teachers felt it too. In recent years, the Redemption Academy had developed smoothly, and the children had grown very quickly, especially Du Bai and Gu Li. Their powerful demonic god transformations had shown significant progress, giving them all hope. However, the battle yesterday had left them feeling cold. Could such a vast gap truly be bridged, let alone surpassed? And even if humanity gave rise to such a being, they could not forget that the demon and nymph races had at least a full dozen of them. Tang San silently followed Zhang Haoxuan all the way back to his residence in the academy and Appo's small town. After closing the door, Zhang Haoxuan turned around, his gaze piercing as he looked at Tang San. Where were you during the battle yesterday? I went to find you immediately, but you weren't and Appo's there. Don and Appo's tell me you were at Kali Academy. I went there and even asked old Mao and Yuan and Appo's tea there. Tang San offered a wry smile. I really was there at first. But then, Mei's sister was taken away by a demon king from the ancestral court. I was worried about her, so I followed to check. Then the battle erupted, and the overwhelming pressure immobilized me. I was trapped near the area between Kali City and the academy. It wasn't Appo's tea until the battle ended that I could run back. Zhang Haoshuan, taking his word for it, said angrily, "Do you think you can just follow along in everything? That was a demon king, a true god. Did you really think you could do something? Don't be an idiot. Anyway, what happened to Mei Gongzi? Was she really taken away?" Tang San replied, "I saw from a distance that she ambushed that demon king from the ancestral court and then ran away. It looked like someone was there to meet her. The demon king couldn't and Appo's tea catch up with her." Zhang Haoshuan breathed a sigh of relief, as if he had thought of something, and nodded. "That and Appo's good. Yesterday and Appo's battle was very sudden. Be careful in the coming days. The ancestral court might make another move." At this point his voice softened. "Try to go out less. Stay and cultivate within the academy, and visit Kali Academy less often. I and Appo's LL inquire about Mei Gongzi and Appo's situation and let you know if I hear anything." Tang San nodded obediently. "Thank you, master." Zhang Haoshuan sighed softly. To be honest, it's not just the kids. Even I felt lost inside after witnessing yesterday and Appo's battle. It seemed like we could never find the end of the darkness. The gap is just too big, too vast. Tang Sen said, "As long as the flame of hope still burns, there is a future. Humanity and Appo's greatest strength lies in creating miracles. Every bit of effort pushes humanity forward." Zhang Haoshuan tilted his head in befuddlement as he looked at his pupil. Those words didn't seem like something a child could say. Tang San scratched his head. "Why are you looking at me like that?" Zhang Haoshuan rolled his eyes. "Sometimes it feels as if you're someone my age." Tang San almost rolled his eyes as well in response. "Do you think it's easy for me to act like a kid all the time? I was tens of thousands of years old when your great-grandfather was born. What do you think about what happened yesterday?" Zhang Haoshuan asked. Tang San replied, "A fight over resources, I suppose." Zhang Haoshuan nodded. "According to what we know, the crystal phoenixes and the peacock demons appear to be sworn enemies. Their feud over the title of King of Birds has lasted for many years, and neither has managed to take the upper hand. In fact, it appears that the peacock demon clan and Appo's inability to produce a demon emperor is related to this quarrel. The crystal phoenixes also lacked one, but surprisingly, this generation has actually produced a demon emperor, and he was really quick to look for trouble with the peacock demon clan. However, according to our judgment, both sides have suffered severe injuries this time. Plus, the peacock demon clan has finally managed to withstand the first wave. The coming period should be fairly stable, but this conflicts with our planning. In the future, whenever the crystal phoenix demon emperor comes again, if the peacock clan cannot hold up our years of planning..." At this point, Zhang Haoshuan couldn't and Appo's help but sigh. Tang San said, "What can we do about it? It's not like we can control what they do. It all depends on how long the peacock great demon king can hold on, and we really don't know how badly he's injured." Zhang Haoshuan nodded. "Now we can only take things one step at a time. I am more optimistic about your future than the organization and Appo's original plan. If you can reach godhood in the future, then you will bring true hope to humanity. You are the first person I believe has the potential to become a great demon king, even more likely than Mei Gongzi." Tang San smiled. "Actually, if we're talking about becoming a great demon king, Sister Mei will definitely get there faster than me." "Oh, you think so highly of her?" Zhang Haoshuan asked in surprise. "I do. She has great talent and surely she will also have great luck." Zhang Haoshuan's eyes narrowed. "Listen here, you and Appo's better limit your contact with her for now. That goes for your other identity as well." "Uh-huh." Tang San non-committally agreed. But how could he just ignore Mei Gongzi? At the city lord and Appo's mansion, within the dim and silent chamber, the peacock great demon king sat cross-legged, his complexion pale. The aura around him was clearly unstable, even decaying. Nearly half of his peacock blue hair had turned white, a lifeless shade of white. He let out a long breath and slowly opened his eyes. His dull eyes carried a hint of mockery, much like how he had looked at the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor before. Looks like I and Appos V managed to hold on Haven and Appos Ti? Do you think you and Appos V won? You will always be the loser, always. That will never change. Muttering to himself, he stood up and walked to the wall, pressing his right hand against it. The wall silently opened, revealing a passage. The Peacock Great Demon King walked into the passage, his steps slightly unsteady. On the Pegasus chariot, the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor slowly opened his eyes, and the moment he awoke from his meditation, he was unable to hold back a mouthful of fresh blood. The blood sprayed out, turning into sparkling points of light that dissipated into the air. For someone of his cultivation level to be unable to control his injuries showed the severity of the damage. The Peacock Great Demon King and Appos' use of the Peacock Demon Clan's supreme bloodline ability, Star Shift, had caused him to take horrendous damage, almost shaking his foundation. Lin Shima, the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor, squinted as he looked through the chariot's window into the distance. His gaze was filled with contemplation. The Peacock Great Demon King and Appos' decision to burn through his ancestral fortune in a desperate fight was within his expectations. Given the Peacock Demon Clan and Appos' foundation he had in Appos, he really expected to annihilate the entire clan. That was just wishful thinking. However, his plan did include inflicting serious damage and eradicating the Peacock Great Demon King, his greatest adversary since many years back. While the clan still had some great demon kings, those not of the direct Demon Emperor bloodline were not a concern to him. It would and Appos' take long for him to retake Kali City and her. But to his surprise, the Peacock Great Demon King and Appos' strength was far greater than he had imagined. Although he had not reached the level of a demon emperor, he was at the absolute pinnacle among great demon kings. Moreover, by leveraging the power of his ancestral fortune, he had caused Lin Shima injuries far more severe than the latter had anticipated. And then, what's the deal with that so-called sea god who appeared from the endless blue sea? He clearly is at the demon emperor level. Even though it was just a projection and not his true body, this is still tremendous news. The ancestral court had explored the endless blue sea, with several demon emperors conducting the explorations. The endless blue sea was boundless and it was home to many sea clans, among which there were no few powerful beings. However, no presence at the demon emperor level had ever been detected. Moreover, the ocean was not a suitable habitat for most demon and nymph species, especially nymphs, who had a strong aversion to the sea. Thus, the demon races had no plans to venture into the ocean, especially since the land resources of the demon continent were massive enough as they were. The emergence of this sea god would undeniably shatter the ancestral court and Appos' assessment of the endless blue sea. The existence of a demon emperor changed everything. Moreover, it seemed to have a connection to Kali City. This matter had to be reported to the ancestral court. If a demon emperor had appeared in the endless blue sea, then action would have to be taken. This could also be the best opportunity for Lin Shima to continue exerting pressure on Kali City in the next step. Wang Qing, you wait for me. I will return. Lin Shima was acutely aware that even though he had been severely injured this time, the Peacock Great Demon King would only be worse off. After all, he had burnt his own peacock golden crown. This meant that he would never be able to become a demon emperor. There was not even a sliver of chance left. Burning his essence was equivalent to burning his lifespan. Even if he didn't and Appos' die right now, his cultivation would indeed decline, and in any case there would be a significant loss in lifespan. The same old destiny of not living past 100 years was undoubtedly awaiting this Peacock Great Demon King. Lin Shima and Appos' mood improved significantly. Now, he needed to consider how to proceed once he returned to the ancestral court to secure even more advantages for himself. Kali City, Kali Square. Dawn had broken and Mei Gongzi and Appos' milk tea shop would usually be open for business at this hour. But today was an exception. The shop was firmly closed, and the window for selling milk tea remained shut. Su Qin silently gazed at the man before her, her expression complex. The pallid Peacock Great Demon King was leaning weakly against the wall. He and Appos' been here looking for you, hasn't and Appos' Teehee? Su Qin silently nodded. Do you still hate him? The peacock great demon king sighed lightly, asking again. What do you think? Su Qin looked at him, her gaze turning colder. I and Appos. Am sorry I shouldn't and Appos. T have asked that, the peacock great demon king apologized. Su Qin shook her head. He and Appos. Still arrogant and forever self-centered. His way of thinking is always the right one. It was my mistake to have trusted him back then. The peacock great demon king sighed softly. When you made your choice back then, even if you had your own goals in mind, how I wish you'd chosen me regardless. Su Qin said, everyone around you thinks you and Appos. Re a brilliant great demon king, but little do they know you and Appos. Re a fool through and through. You and Appos. Re the silliest of all the demons I and Appos ever met. The peacock great demon king laughed. Yes, you and Appos re not wrong, I am the silliest one. When I was young, my father always called me rebellious because whatever he told me to do, I would do the opposite. Despite having the best talent among my kin, I refused to cultivate it. No, I deliberately wasted it. The more he hit me and scolded me, the more I acted out. I used to think, why should you dictate my life? Why should I do something just because you told me to? Just because you gave birth to me? Does being born to you grant you the right to control everything about me, to arrange everything in my life? I was so rebellious back then that I dare not recall it now. I really did many foolish things. Until one day when I met you, I realized I was also at fault. You and Appos, rewrite. Lin Shima is particularly self-centered, but how many among the demon races are and Appos, T? I and Appos am just as self-centered. I always thought I was right, but at that moment for the first time I recognized my mistake. The first time I saw you I thought, and Appos, so this is what beauty is. And Appos, I had an idea of beauty for the first time in my heart. But when I tried to pursue you, Lin Shima beat me almost to death. Back then, I almost never cultivated at all, I just relied on the natural growth of my bloodline power. How could I be a match for him? Of course he beat me up. It was then that I first realized the truth in my father and Appos' words that strength is the foundation of everything. For the first time in my life, I knew I needed strength. So I began to work hard. No one knows this, but you are the only reason I ended up becoming my father and Appos' successor, becoming the peacock great demon king. In reality, this ISN and Appos' what I wanted at all. If it hadn't and Appos' been for that bastard Lin Shima, and if you had simply been with me from the start, I might still be the same spoiled brat. Su Qin shook her head. That never would have happened. Whether I am with him or with you, my purpose is, and always will be to help humanity. I naturally need you to become stronger, have a higher status, and be able to help humans better. How could I agree to be with you when you weren't strong? The peacock great demon king smiled bitterly. Why do you always speak so plainly about yourself? Su Qin simply said. It and Appos' the truth. The peacock great demon king sighed. Yes, it and Appos' precisely you just that I like. You and Appos. We never hidden anything from us. Yet even knowing your purpose, we still find ourselves helplessly falling in love with you. Su Qin calmly stated that and Appos' because in your subconscious you and Appos' assumed that humans even with your help could not possibly rise. It and Appos' inevitable. After all, compared to us, humans are truly insignificant. Even if they inherit our bloodline power, they are still influenced by their human blood. Hybrids can never become top-tier powerhouses. But I understand you are striving to improve the condition of your people. I have no problem at all helping you. I can appreciate the beauty of humans, so naturally I don't and Appos' have any aversion to them. In this respect, Lin Shima is pretty much the same. At the very least, he doesn't really care either way. That and Appos' why you were with him in the beginning. As he spoke, his voice became gentler. Slowly rising, he approached Su Qin, gently caressing her cheek, which bore not a single mark of her years, and softly said, in fact, I know. Compared to the pain you bear, ours is nothing. You accepted him with a purpose in mind, but when you were with him, you loved him with all your heart. On the one hand, you strive for your race, and on the other, you love what to your people would seem like a cruel demon. The greatest burden is what you carry inside. Can you stop talking? Su Qin said coldly. The peacock great demon king sighed lightly. I'd rather you let me speak, because if I don and oppose, I and oppose, am afraid I and oppose, I'll never get the chance again. I am not far from death. Su Qin shivered violently, and she suddenly looked up at him. The Peacock Great Demon King laughed. Haha, I and oppose. I'm so happy to see your reaction. I can finally truly confirm that your heart is with me now. Do you know how happy I am? Not because I won against Lin Shima, but because, at last, your heart is truly with me. Was that a lie just now? Su Qin pursed her lips, a sparkling light flickering in her gaze. The Peacock Great Demon King shook his head. Not at all. You have always been so honest with me, so how could I possibly lie to you? What I said is all true. I burned my golden crown and ancestral fortune to deal with him. My essence is gravely damaged, and I really don't have long to live. Su Qin trembled again. The Peacock Great Demon King smiled and said, It and oppose, nothing. Perhaps it and oppose, the fate of our Peacock Demon clan rulers, not to live past 100 years. What can be done about that? But compared to obtaining your love, these things don and oppose, matter. Death isen and oppose scary. What an oppose? Scary is not knowing why you're dying. See, I was quite afraid of dying at Lin Shima and oppose. Hands, that and oppose. Not the fate I wanted. He wants to kill me, and I specifically don and oppose. Want him to have that pleasure. As you can see, I am still rather rebellious, just like when I was young. But I can die for you. That and oppose. What I and oppose am willing to do. Luckily that sea god, however the hell he appeared, that sea god who shuden and oppose, possibly exist, gave me a chance. And by the way, I wanted to ask you, was this so-called sea god something created by your side? A phantom created by the Redemption Society? Lin Shima might not be aware of it, as his heritage isen and oppose, as deep as our Peacock Demon clans, but I know for a fact there and oppose, no such thing as a sea god. The vastness of the endless blue sea far surpasses the demon continent. Regarding the endless blue sea, the ancestral court has conducted thorough investigations. Actually, 3 generations of the celestial fox demon emperor made sure to check what was going on there. On Phelan, our demon continent is the true core, the real seat of fate. Therefore, only our demon and nymph races could produce 12th order beings. The limit for the sea clans is the 11th order. The sea clans should have their own seers who understand this. I presume that's why they and oppose. They never dared to bare their fangs at us. So, where does this so-called sea god come from? Su Qin looked at him with narrowed eyes. You and oppose re going to die? The great Peacock Demon King and oppose. Seemingly endless chatter ceased. He looked deeply at her, lowered his head, and kissed her forehead. Yes, I and oppose am going to die. The burning of my essence is hastening the end of my life. Su Qin lowered her head. Don and oppose die. The Peacock Great Demon King embraced her. I and oppose, he said. Death is not to be feared. Are you being rebellious with me too? Su Qin whispered. No, I wouldn't and oppose. Be rebellious with anyone other than that bastard. And certainly not with you. But having been the clan leader for so many years, I and oppose. We come to understand many things. Moreover, I have yet to fulfill your dream. How can I expect you to love me wholeheartedly if I can and oppose? Even do that. I won and oppose. Be as foolish as Lin Shima to hurt you after finally receiving your love? I want to make it impossible for you to love anyone else in this lifetime. To leave the deepest impression in your heart. Don and oppose. Worry I won and oppose. Die yet, at least not until I and oppose. V helped you achieve your dream. Tang San still went to Kali Academy because he couldn't and oppose. Stop worrying about Mei Gongzi. Although he knew that the people of the ancestral court had left with the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor, who could be sure that no hidden threats remained? So, he still came to Kali Academy. But he did not see Mei Gongzi, and obviously, he couldn't and oppose. Ask anyone about her. He could only wait in silence. Mei Gongzi was nowhere to be seen for several days, as if she had vanished into thin air. This gradually instilled a sense of unease in Tang San and oppo's heart. He applied fortunes to himself daily but still could not find Mei Gongzi. His cultivation and physical condition had essentially recovered, but his divine consciousness was considerably weaker. To return to its previous strength, His most conservative estimation was a year of continuous nurturing without using his divine consciousness again. Before reaching godhood, forcibly using his divine consciousness, especially in such a decisive manner, consumed too much of his energy. While waiting for Mei Gongzi, he also studied the bloodline of Dai Yangning, the Dark Raven Demon King. He had absorbed Dai Yangning's bloodline energy in much the same way as he'd always done. Most of that energy had gone into powering his projection of the sea god, but the bloodline imprint was still there. Due to the excessive energy consumption at the time, this bloodline imprint was not at the 10th order, even though he had absorbed the demon's entire bloodline energy, but it was still at the 9th order. Moreover, its origin was ultimately a god-level being, so many divine aspects within the bloodline could still be felt. Dark ravens, also known as blood-sucking ravens, had an innate ability to vaporize and drain blood. Wherever the dark raven blood mist passed, living beings were turned into blood sacrifices. It was a truly tyrannical talent. By devouring the blood of other life forms, they acquired the energy necessary for cultivation. Newborn dark ravens were only first order, but by drinking the blood of others, they could grow quickly. Among the demon races, the raven race was not all that powerful, and dark ravens were already at the peak of this race. There was no golden bloodline among the raven demons. Weaker tribes did not have anything like that. In other words, the dark raven clan was pretty much the royal lineage, and Dai Yangning, the dark raven demon king, was among its most distinguished members. Having advanced to the 7th order, Tang San had a free slot for integrating another bloodline imprint. However, he wasn't an Oppos, too fond of the dark raven bloodline. His mysterious heaven technique could also absorb bloodline energy as well as a bloodline's characteristics, so it was even better for him in that respect. The dark ravens and Oppos' ability to turn into mist in order to dodge physical attacks was objectively great, but it wasn't an Oppos, particularly appealing for Tang San. After all, he already had the powerful spatial ability of the peacock transformation. However, just because he wasn't interested in keeping the bloodline imprint permanently didn't mean he wasn't interested in researching it. This was the first bloodline imprint he had obtained from a god-level being, and it was very helpful for studying the overall bloodline characteristics of the demon races. Not until the 5th day after the great battle ended did Tang San finally see Mei Gongzi at Kali Academy. She looked somewhat thinner, and her eyes revealed weariness. When Tang San saw her, he kept sweeping the floor as usual, but Mei Gongzi actually walked straight toward him. "Come with me for a moment," Mei Gongzi said when she reached him, then walked towards a nearby grove. Tang San felt the whole world had become more colorful when he saw her, and his mood significantly lifted. Even his dim divine consciousness felt a bit more lively. He followed Mei Gongzi into the small grove. "Sister Mei," Tang San called out with a smile. Mei Gongzi turned to look at him and said, "I am leaving." The simple words almost instantly froze Tang San and Oppos' smile, and a strong sense of loss surged uncontrollably within him. "Where are you going?" he blurted out instinctively, and he nearly added, "I and Oppos, I'll go with you." Mei Gongzi shook her head. "I will not be leaving Kali City, but I will enter seclusion and cultivate with my father. I don't and Oppos, know how long it will take, but it will definitely be a while. I came to say goodbye to you." Upon hearing that she was only going into seclusion and not leaving Kali City, Tang San breathed a sigh of relief. Then he remembered something. "How is your father?" That day, he and Oppos, severely injured. Don and Oppos, asked too many questions. The more you know, the more danger you're in. Focus on your cultivation, understand? When I return, I and Oppos, I'll be checking on you. As Mei Gongzi spoke, what echoed in her mind was the intense sense of loss he had shown just a moment ago. Tang San nodded. He had already guessed something. It wasn't an Oppos, a bad thing for Mei Gongzi. However, reason could not overcome the turbulence of his feelings, and a strong sense of reluctance still lingered in his heart. "I and Oppos am leaving now. Work hard, and if I find you Haven and Oppos, met the mark when I return, humph." Mei Gongzi glared at him, then quickly walked toward the grove and Oppos' edge. Tang San and Oppos' mouth twitched slightly. This was the first time they had been in the small grove together. The previous time in the Kali Mountains didn't and Oppos' count, that was Azura, not himself. He quickly turned and followed her out. He did not know when he would see her again, so all he could do was use this chance to take a good look at her. Mei Gongzi was now close to the exit, but she felt his gaze. She stopped, looked back at him, and then waved her hand vigorously. Tang San hurriedly waved back. His lips moved silently, saying something to her without making a sound. Mei Gongzi seemed to understand it, and her hand paused momentarily, but then she quickly turned and continued walking away. I and Appos, I'll miss you, Tang San silently repeated in his heart. Stepping out of the academy, Mei Gongzi took a deep breath of fresh air, but a heavy sense of oppression still couldn't and Appos be shaken off her heart. Was it because of him? Why is it that every time I see him, my emotions run wild? She took a cup of milk tea from her storage space. It was actually just an empty cup, but she still held it in her hand. She stood silently at the academy and Appos' entrance waiting. However, today seemed different from usual. The waiting time was exceptionally long. It wasn't and Appos' until the sky gradually darkened nearing evening, that a familiar voice finally sounded behind her. Azura, dressed in black and wearing a mask as always, had appeared at some point in a far-out corner. Mei Gongzi suddenly turned around, and the instant she saw him, she felt a sense of relief. After they parted that day, she felt uneasy. Facing a god-level power like the Dark Raven Demon King, she was unable to resist, and was about to fall into enemy hands. In the end, she was still saved by Azura. Did he have the power to contend with god-level beings? He wasn't and Appos, a god himself. Of this Mei Gongzi was certain. Yet the result was that she was saved. After returning, her heart was full of doubts, but she couldn't and Appos find any answers. Only later she heard from her mother about the outcome of that great battle. Under the sudden deterrence of the sea god, the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor did not end up in a mutual defeat with the Great Peacock Demon King, but opted to leave instead. Where did this sea god come from? And was he truly a demon emperor? For some reason, upon hearing the word sea god, she felt a strong stirring in her heart. For some reason, she felt as if this sea god was someone she knew. She had many speculations. Among them was the guess that this person named Azura had something to do with the sea god. There were only a few ways she could have been rescued. One was that Azura hid his true strength, and in reality he was capable of overpowering even someone as strong as the Dark Raven Demon King. Another possibility was that an influential figure was supporting him. Maybe a god-level power stepping in at the crucial moment to defeat the Dark Raven Demon King and save them? Zhang Haoshuan had assured her multiple times that he was not an enemy, but then, who was behind him? Why couldn't an Appos Zhang Haoshuan clarify it? Her mother had also inquired before and received ambiguous answers. The only certainty was that this Azura was human and therefore an ally. Azura was looking at her too, and for some reason, Mei Gongzi felt a sense of familiarity in his gaze. Gone were his usual ease and confidence, replaced by a particular emotion. It was similar to something she had seen before. In fact, she'd seen it not too long ago in Tang San and Appos' eyes. Azura had the stature of an adult, and his abilities were different from Tang San's, naturally making it impossible for them to be the same person. Yet that look in his eyes. Indeed, Azura silently watched her as if to memorize every detail of her being. He had been watching her not just for a few moments now, but from the moment she stood outside the academy. He only appeared now because he wanted to look at her, not knowing how long it would take to see her again after this departure. Why were you looking for me? Azura asked in a low voice. Mei Gongzi said, the hunting operation is paused for now. I will be away for a while. To cultivate in seclusion. I don't and Appos know how long, but it will be a while. Azura silently nodded. Are you here to say goodbye? Can and Appos you come out during your seclusion? Azura took a deep breath. I understand. When you finish your seclusion, wait for me with milk tea at this exact spot. I promise that I will be here within 3 days. Mei Gongzi felt an inexplicable sense of relief, surprised to find herself somewhat worried that she might never see the person before her again after her seclusion. Perhaps it was because he had saved her that day, she thought. Okay, Mei Gongzi nodded earnestly. Azura remained silent, just looking at her. She put the milk tea cup away in her hand, saying, "Then I must go." Azura and Appo's heart suddenly fluttered and he impulsively asked, "Can I have that milk tea cup?" Mei Gongzi paused, looking at him with a bit of wariness in her eyes. She fell silent for a moment but then shook her head. "Sorry, that one and Appo's tea do. I and Appo's be drunk from it." Azura and Appo's lips pursed slightly. He knew just as well as she did that she hadn't drunk anything from it. He had been watching her for hours after all. Without a doubt, she still harbored wariness and suspicion towards this identity of his, and a sense of loss inevitably rose in his heart. However, he still wanted to look at her, so he didn't take the initiative to leave. "I must go now. See you after my seclusion." She waved her hand and quickly walked down the mountain as if she had suddenly remembered she had to be somewhere. Azura watched her departing figure, his heart filled with reluctance. He could only comfort himself silently, knowing she had waited for him for several hours, at least acknowledging their connection. But with her departure, he didn't and Appo's know if it would be a month or two, or even a year or two before she returned. Regardless of the time, he resolved to wait here for her. That night, unusually, neither Azura nor Tang San engaged in cultivation. He just lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, silently reminiscing about her voice and smile from past and present lives. Sometimes a sweet smile would appear on his face, and at times, he felt so heartbroken he could barely breathe. That night he was sleepless. In the early morning, with dark circles under his eyes, Tang San climbed onto the rooftop. "You and Appo's, late today." Dubai glanced at him and said. Wu Bingji and the others had already begun practicing the purple demon eyes. "I didn't and Appo's. Sleep well last night," Tang San said. "What in Appo's? With you? You're always confident and sunny. I've never seen you not smiling. Now you look as if your girlfriend broke up with you, ha ha ha." "Just kidding. You and Appo's just a kid." "What breakup?" Dubai laughed heartily to himself. Tang San glanced at him, wanting to kick him off the roof. "You and Appo's the kid. Your whole family are kids. Anyway, when we're done with this, give me a full dose of luck. I feel like my luck hasn't and Appo's been great recently." "Sure." Dubai agreed without hesitation. To him, Tang San was his lucky charm. Ever since Tang San had arrived, his celestial fox vision had made leaps and bounds in progress. The fifth order celestial fox vision now had actual practical use, and his status within the team had correspondingly been elevated. The teachers treated him as a precious treasure to be guarded. Before the ban, he had to be accompanied by at least one teacher to enter the city. All of this was thanks to Tang San. If it weren't and Appo's for the fact that Tang San often wasn't and Appo's around at night, he would have dearly wished to cultivate with him every day for even more effective progress. After the cultivation session, with luck bestowed by Dubai, Tang San left the Redemption Academy and headed back to Kali Academy to continue his sweeping. Now, at the seventh order and having grasped the universal conditions of this world, studying at Redemption Academy held little meaning for him. The environment at Kali Academy was more suited for his cultivation and consolidation. More importantly, he could wait there every day for her return. Upon entering Kali Academy, the air immediately felt different. A richer aura of heaven and earth permeated every corner of the academy. Breathing in the familiar air on the fresh, moist morning, Tang San went to Old Mao and Appo's cabin for his routine report. "Here you are." Old Mao greeted him, his attitude having warmed considerably compared to their first meeting. Tang San was diligent and meticulous in his work, earning numerous praises from the academy and Appo's management. Naturally, Old Mao shared in this honor. Any important cleaning task was entrusted to Tang San, and he did his job to a more than satisfactory standard. "Good morning, Old Mao," Tang San said with a forced smile. Good morning to you too." Tang San picked up his tools and said, "Old Mao, I and Appo's. I'll get to work." "Oh, wait a moment," the old man suddenly interjected. "I have something for you." As Old Mao walked to his desk, picked something up and turned towards Tang San was taken aback. As Tang San saw what was in his palm, he couldn't and Appo's look away. Despite having lived 3 lifetimes, his vision blurred with a mist of tears in that instant. "A young lady asked me to give this to you this morning. She and Apos, a beautiful human, Old Mouse said, handing the item to Tang San. Tang San took it, a cup still filled with warm milk tea, or rather milk tea from the Meigongzi tea shop. The cup that Azura had failed to obtain yesterday, today was in Tang San's hands. At that moment, his heart was filled with happiness, and all the misgivings and oppressive feelings of the night before were swept away. Tang San smiled, though his smile was tearful. In that instant, everything before him seemed bathed in sunlight. Xiao Mei Xiao Wu, thank you. He drank the milk tea as if it carried the warmth of Meigongzi, soothing his heart in every cell within him. Then he carefully put the cup away, a keepsake that would accompany him until her return. Bathed in sunlight, he swept the ground. Everything seemed to become better. The core of his spirit became more transparent, and his soul core solidified even more. It was as if at that moment his fragile divine consciousness had been injected with a booster, clearly bursting with more vitality. Sister Mei, I and Apos am waiting for your return. The city lord in Apos' mansion in a quiet room. The peacock great demon king sat pale-faced in his chair, and Meigongzi stood before him. The peacock great demon king looked at his daughter, whose features were as beautiful as a painting, with a complex mix of emotions in his eyes. You resemble your mother when she was young, said the peacock great demon king. Meigongzi did not speak. She just looked at him. She was actually rather fond of this father of hers, as he had always treated her well. Despite the rest of the peacock demon clan being hostile and antagonistic toward her, he had always been good to her. But her mother always warned her to be wary of all demons. To humans, all demons were enemies, beings that oppressed humanity. Thus, she had always harbored a sense of fear toward her father, and she didn't spend much time around him. The one time that surprised her was when he announced that she would become one of the heirs. This decision caused a massive uproar within the Peacock Demon clan, facing unanimous opposition from the entire clan. Later, he overcame all objections, convened a meeting of the elders, and managed to persuade them. Ultimately, she became one of the heirs. Well, in my heart, you are not as beautiful as your mother was when she was young. Perhaps their beloved is always the most beautiful in a lover and Apos' eyes. As you grow older, you will surely become even more beautiful, the Peacock Great Demon King said, his usual majestic presence nowhere in sight. Meigongzi looked at his pale face. Father, your health. The Peacock Great Demon King shook his head. I and Apos am fine, not dying just yet. There are still many things I need to arrange, and accompanying you in seclusion is of utmost importance. Have you made all the arrangements with the academy? Yes, I and Apos have taken a temporary leave. Meigongzi nodded. How long will our seclusion be this time? The Peacock Great Demon King said, it depends on how long I can hold on and how quickly you can progress. It also depends on how much time the ancestral court will give us. I hope for as long a time as possible. 10 years should be about right. 10 years? Meigongzi and Apos' pupils suddenly constricted. She was only 14 this year. Was she supposed to stay in this room until she was 24? It probably won in Apos' be that long. They won in Apos' give us so much time. And I don and Apos' know if my body can hold out for that long. Is your injury that serious? Meigongzi asked. Yes. After all, that man is a demon emperor. How could I repel him without paying any price? He came too quickly and I wasn't Apos' fully prepared. During the battle that day, I was ready to die and drag him down with me or, at the very least, knock him back down to the Great Demon King level. Fortunately, that sea god appeared out of nowhere. He bought us some time, quite a good amount of time actually, and that allows me to arrange some matters without rushing. Little May, I took you into seclusion this time without informing any of our kin. However, the moment you and I began this seclusion, you became the next Peacock Great Demon King. When the Peacock Great Demon King uttered these words, Meigongzi and Apos' eyes instantly narrowed. This was the ultimate goal she and her mother had aimed for. And now, hearing it was about to be realized so suddenly and unexpectedly filled her with disbelief. The Peacock Great Demon King looked at her meaningfully and said, therefore, whether for the sake of our Peacock Demon clan or humans, you must strive hard. Only you can help our clan take charge of Kali City and bring glory to our kind. Meigongzi and Apos' breathing became slightly rapid. Is it decided? But the Peacock Great Demon King waved his hand dismissively. There are no and oppos, buts and oppos. This decision was made a long time ago. I have been pushing in this direction for many years. Rest assured, since fate has granted me some time, I will arrange everything properly. Mei Gongzi slightly lowered her head. She offered no false modesty, as she could not afford to be modest. Despite being only 14 years old, she was acutely aware of the heavy burden she carried on her shoulders. The Peacock Great Demon King said solemnly, however, I need you to make a vow. You will be the Peacock Great Demon King as long as you live. No matter what contributions or help you provide to humans, you must not harm the interests of the Peacock Demon clan. When you are about to leave this position, whether through death or abdication, the throne of the Peacock Demon clan must be returned to our people. Mei Gongzi suddenly raised her head, her gaze carrying a hint of determination. Did you figure it out from the beginning? The Peacock Great Demon King looked at her intensely and said, Figure it out? No, there was nothing to figure out. Your mother never hid anything from me. She clarified her intentions when she accepted me, and I agreed. From our first day together, I knew she was the Saint Mother of the Redemption Society. In fact, it was precisely because I agreed to her terms and let you inherit the throne of the Peacock Great Demon King in the future that she was willing to be with me. Mei Gongzi was stunned. She had never heard this from her mother. She had always believed that her mother was the most important member of the Redemption Society, having infiltrated the high ranks of the demon race, and willing to sacrifice herself for the organization. But the words of the Peacock Great Demon King completely overturned her understanding. Seeing her shocked gaze, the Peacock Great Demon King gave a bitter smile and said, Do you find it strange? How could there be such a foolish demon king? Let me tell you, not only do they exist, but there and oppos, more than one, at least two. Honestly, you have no idea how charming your mother was in her youth. Her charm was so irresistible that I couldn't and oppos refuse. I agreed to her request, and I am a man of my word. I will fulfill my promise. At that time I had only one thought. As long as she was willing to be with me, I would give up the whole world. I didn't and oppos have much of a sense of belonging to my kind, so I agreed. I thought I would do everything in my power to win her love. I would naturally have the chance as long as she was with me. I know more than you might imagine, my little blue-class child. Mei Gongzi stared at him, dazed, as if only from this moment that she genuinely saw her father for who he was. The Peacock Great Demon King stood up, approached her, and gently patted her head. Silly girl, don't and oppos overthink. Just do what you want to do. The vow I asked you to make is also the most important thing I and oppos done for our people. It and oppos also for the sake of our people and oppos legacy. In the future, you will understand why I made this choice. If not for this choice, perhaps our race might face the danger of extinction. I and oppos am not a good person, but I bear no malice toward you and your mother. There is only love. Then the voice of the Peacock Great Demon King became serious again. Make your vow now. Mei Gongzi took a deep breath, calming the storm within her heart, and looked at the Peacock Great Demon King with clear eyes. Father, can I trust you? Mei Gongzi nodded and said, I swear. If I inherit the throne of the Peacock Great Demon King in the future, throughout my life, I will never do anything to harm the Peacock Demon clan. If I die or abdicate, I will first pass the throne to a member of the Peacock Demon clan. Should I break this oath? That and oppos enough, the Peacock Great Demon King interrupted her last words. You are very much like your mother and me. You might be young, but your word is your bond. Mei Gongzi looked at him, and he once again put his hand on her head. Let an oppos go I and oppos I'll take you to a place. Starting today, I will teach you the secret techniques of the Peacock Demon clan. When you come out of seclusion, it will be the moment for you to dance with the heavens and the earth. A silver light shone at their feet, quickly enveloping the father and daughter. Between the flickers of light, the two figures instantly vanished. Kali Academy returned to peace. Within the tranquil academy, only the occasional sounds of insects and birds echoed. Tang San was sitting cross-legged in the secret room of the academy and oppos store, absorbing the spiritual energy here to cultivate. Thanks to his soul and spirit cores, his cultivation speed increased every day, and his physical strength, nourished by the life energy of the treasure plants here, far exceeded that of his peers. He no longer appeared like a malnourished 10-year-old, but rather like a strong and fit young man of 16. Had the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor not retreated, he might have had to sweep the academy store clean and flee with Mei Gongzi. For now, at least he could continue cultivating here for a short while longer. The locked vault of the store, filled with amazing herbs and fruits, greatly benefited his cultivation progress. Mei Gongzi and Appo's cup of milk tea had awakened all his senses, filling his heart with emotion and resolve. All he had to do was wait for her return. Since she said she would return to check on his cultivation progress in Sikajura again, then she would return to do exactly that. Even though he couldn't and Appo's see her, knowing she was in Kali City was enough. She hadn't and Appo's gone far, she was still by his side. Meanwhile, he couldn't just waste his time while she wasn't around. Her seclusion with the Peacock Great Demon King was to enhance her strength. With her talent, she would undoubtedly be far stronger upon her return. The Peacock Great Demon King and Appo's willingness to take her into seclusion meant she was one step closer to inheriting the throne. The only issue was the threat from the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor. To resolve all of this, the most direct method was to become strong enough to stand by her side, to acquire sufficient strength to protect her. Therefore, during her period of seclusion, Tang San and Appo's most crucial task was naturally to enhance his own strength. If he could return to the god level and truly awaken his divine consciousness, thus recovering the various abilities from his previous life, he would have the power to face any enemy, nurturing spiritual power and improving cultivation level, preparing for the breakthrough to the god level. For Tang San, after the consolidation of the two cores, reaching the pinnacle of the ninth order was now simply a matter of time. All he had to do was elevate the bloodlines of his companions so they could advance in cultivation, so he could benefit from it as well. The biggest issue, however, was breaking through to the god level. Ever since his understanding of this world deepened, he had contemplated how to solve the problem of breaking through to the god level. He did not belong to that plane, and once his divine consciousness became powerful, truly stepping into the god level, he had to communicate with that world. In other words, he would inevitably be affected by the plane. The planar ruler maintained the entire plane by instinct, and its purpose was to ensure the plane and Appo's balance and protection from external threats. Given that the Phelan planet could give birth to beings of the 12th order, first-class gods, the strength of that plane could be imagined. It was not inferior to a proper divine realm. It was just that it hadn't in Appo's taken that step just yet. In the future, Phelan and Appo's growth was destined to be closely linked with the growth of the entire plane. Naturally, excluding any and all foreign elements was an important self-defense mechanism and thus inevitable. Tang San was not just any ordinary divine being. He had once been a god king. So far, he had not encountered any god king in this plane, and he believed that no such beings existed here. Had they existed, this plane would have already become a realm of gods. Once he broke through and awakened the essence of a god king, then even if he started from a much lower level, it would surely alarm the planar ruler. No planar ruler would permit the existence of a foreign god king. If controlled by such a being, the plane would no longer remain as it was. In order for the plane to become a divine realm, it had to give birth to a god king itself, and that god king's power would then elevate the whole plane. Now, Tang San could deceive the planar ruler because he was simply too weak to be regarded as a threat. However, it would be a different story once his essence as a god king was exposed. The plane would spare no effort to eradicate him, and it would certainly not allow him to ascend to godhood. Now, Tang San had reached the 7th order, and thus had to start making thorough preparations for his eventual ascension to godhood. The energy required to become a god was immense, and he could not leave this planet before becoming one. Therefore, to ascend, he had to find an opportunity within this plane. For this reason, he had to prepare multiple trump cards for himself, ensuring these cards were sufficient to support his ascension to godhood. Without becoming a god king, how could he ascend with Mei Gongzi? How could he leave this world and return to his divine realm? Tang San had no other choice. Moreover, Mei Gongzi was not his only kin. Reuniting with his entire family was his ultimate goal. Collecting his thoughts, Tang San returned to his cultivation. Inside him, in addition to the 6 stable bloodline imprints, a massive gray-black bloodline imprint floated next to his soul core, kept from dispersing by the core and Appo's pull. It was the god-level imprint the Dark Raven Demon King left to him. The bloodline of the Dark Raven Demon King was rather special to Tang San. Although it had fallen from the 10th order to the 9th, its origins were still divine. Hence, it retained some unique god-level characteristics. Upon closer examination, Tang San realized that transformation was the fundamental aspect of the Dark Raven Demon King and Appo's bloodline. The purpose of bloodsucking was to weaken the enemy and to strengthen oneself. All demons could do that to some extent, but they had to absorb bloodline energy from other demons of the same race. Naturally, the likelihood that the bloodline energy absorbed by a dark raven would be from a dark raven was rather slim. Therefore, the essence of its power was absorbing and transforming other bloodlines into its power, while preserving as much of their original strength as possible. Tang San didn't and Appo's hold the Dark Raven Demon King and Appo's bloodline in high regard, but he was interested in its transformative nature. As it was from this plane, it constituted one of the plane and Appo's laws, even if just a common one. In other words, it was perfectly allowed to exist within this plane. Checking its properties against the mysterious heaven techniques would allow Tang San to refine his mysterious heaven technique and explore more secrets of this world. Tang San didn't and Appo's planned to absorb this bloodline imprint, but he did plan to delve into its mysteries and find a way to convert it for his use. After the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor retreated, Kali City seemed to have returned to normal. At least that was the case for the common folk. The high-level machinations were of no concern to them as long as their lives and survival weren't and Appo's threatened. However, that astonishing battle still became the talk of the town, with rumors even spreading about the Peacock Great Demon King and Appo's imminent or actual ascension to Emperor. But the Peacock Demon clan was not at peace. After repelling the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor, the major demon clans that had not stood with the Peacock Demons that day were almost immediately held accountable. The Wind Wolf and Flash Leopard clans were directly expelled from Kali City. The Crimson Fox clan, however, expressed its willingness to submit to the Peacock Demons and remained. The Titan, seeing Tang San again, they inexplicably felt a sense of joy. Yet, they didn't and Appo's dare to crowd around him. They just bowed, then stood aside. Zhang Haoshuan smiled and said, "The growth rate of this golden tree is beyond my expectations. Truly miraculous. The life essence it and Appo's emitting is becoming increasingly potent. Within a month, your girls should all be able to advance to the second order. It and Appo's like turning decay into something magical. Our organization has tried to stimulate bloodline evolution by enhancing vitality, but it's never been this effective. How exactly did you do it? Using life energy to stimulate bloodline evolution is the right choice. But the question is whether that life energy is pure. The purer the life energy, the more beneficial it is for bloodline evolution. That's precisely the advantage of the golden tree. Now, do you still think these branches were a waste of money?" Zhang Haoshuan chuckled. "Are you holding a grudge? You have a point, though. I truly wish for it to grow quickly. However, I and Appo's am also afraid that its effects might be too good. If the life energy is too strong, it could cause unnecessary trouble." Tang San smirked. "I and Appo's am here today precisely to solve this problem. The golden tree has now entered a positive growth cycle. What we need to do is help it grow faster while also concealing its aura. This way, the life energy it produces won't and Appo's cause any trouble." Zhang Haoshuan and Appo's eyes lit up. Another array? A strong sense of anticipation shone in Zhang Haoshuan and Appo's eyes upon his confirmation. He had already thoroughly studied Tang San and Appo's spirit summoning array, and the more he studied, the more amazed he became. The connectivity, the understanding of the forces of nature, and the subtle changes within the array far surpassed whatever he knew about arrays. Seeing Tang San about to set up another array, how could he not be intrigued? "I and Appo's I'll need your help, master." Zhang Haoshuan asked. "No problem, what do I need to do?" Tang San said, "Today I plan to set up 2 arrays. One of them is an illusion array, whose main function is to conceal this valley. The golden tree will be the core of the illusion array. can now generate plenty of life force, so it's the focal point for the array. The other array is called the sky-swallowing array. I and Oppos. V just figured this array out, so we and Oppos. LL need to test it to see how effective it is. An array you came up with on your own? Are you a monster? Zhang Haoxuan and Oppos. S mouth twitched slightly. Tang Sen chuckled. Can and Oppos T help it? I and Oppos am naturally gifted. You know that. What good does knowing do me? I just can and Oppos T believe it. Let and Oppos S get started then, Zhang Haoxuan said helplessly. Tang San said, we must set up the illusion array first. This way when we test the sky-swallowing array it won't and Oppos T cause too much of a disturbance. What do I need to do then? Zhang Haoxuan asked. You and Oppos V mastered the spirit summoning array, right? Zhang Haoxuan nodded. I should have no issues setting it up now. Great. I need you to work with me to set up 18 spirit summoning arrays within this valley. I and Oppos LL choose the locations and determine the focal points. Also, I need you to fund the purchase of some items to set up the arrays. Without the golden wood as the core, we and Oppos LL need other things to assist. Here and Oppos S the list. Tang San handed Zhang Haoxuan a list he had already prepared. Zhang Haoxuan glanced at the list, his mouth twitching slightly. This will cost me a few dozen Naturi coins at least. Tang San laughed. Haha, out with the old, in with the new. Once you and Oppos V mastered the spirit summoning array, you can craft some array discs to sell. I guarantee you and Oppos LL make a fortune. Array discs? Zhang Haoxuan looked at him, puzzled. Tang San explained, basically, we can engrave spirit summoning arrays onto pieces of special metals, creating portable arrays whose effects can be adjusted according to our needs. Of course, the effects of these portable arrays will be a little inferior to those built on the ground, but they are still effective. Later, everyone in our academy can use these array discs in their dormitories to gather spiritual energy, so they can cultivate at the same speed as if they were at Kali Academy. Also, don't you think this can be a great source of money? But I'd say we should and Oppos T sell it here, but let the organization handle the distribution. It and Oppos LL earn money for the organization and provide us with a safe and hassle-free share. We and Oppos LL only be responsible for production. This will be our unique secret technique, and you can claim that you developed it. This will make our future funding more substantial, and we can afford to buy good things. Zhang Haoxuan and Oppos S eyes shone brightly. I see, so you're planning to sell the discs as well? The organization will benefit greatly from this. Tang San waved his hand and smiled. The spirit summoning array is just a common array, so there's no problem selling it. When we make the discs, we can include a safety feature that ensures they can't be dismantled or copied. As long as we're the only ones who can produce it, we'll have a steady stream of money. From now on, you will be the array master of the Redemption Society. In the future, we might even sell other things. Zhang Haoxuan took a deep breath, feeling his heartbeat quicken instantly. Of course, he knew the significant benefits that could come from selling such array discs. To those nobles of the demon and nymph clans with high-tier bloodlines, this kind of implements were not worth much, as they had arrays similar to the spirit summoning array in their estates. However, theirs were costly to make and could not be moved. The portability of these spirit summoning array discs was just too convenient. Moreover, arrays that gathered spiritual energy of heaven and earth were almost never sold. Only advanced academies and noble families could possess such arrays. The status of array masters among the demon and nymph clans was very high. The potential earnings from selling these portable discs were imaginable. Seeing his excited expression, Tang San said, Master, I have a condition. Speak. Zhang Haoxuan immediately responded. First, the title of Array Master will be yours. You can and Oppos T tell anyone that I created the array. I don and Oppos T want to cause any unwanted attention. In particular, do not tell the Redemption Society. That and Oppos S no problem. I and Oppos LL cover for you. Zhang Haoxuan agreed without hesitation. Second, you can and Oppos T be stingy when it and Oppos S time to spend money. We must keep at least half the money earned from the array discs. I may need a lot of money to support my research and development in the future. You can and Oppos T give it all to the organization. Of course, Without you, there would be no income anyway. I and Appos, LL make it clear to the organization. Just say that the cost of producing these array discs is very high. As for the metal used in making the array discs, it would be best to find some that aren't and Appos. T widely recognized, Zhang Haoshuan said. Tang San and Appos, gaze shifted slightly. As expected of his master, what a shrewd salesman. This idea seemed to have come naturally to him. Moreover, he had clearly guessed that the materials for making the spirit summoning array discs weren't anything expensive. No wonder, since his previous spirit summoning arrays were drawn directly onto the earth, hardly using any materials at all. Tang San said, "Third, let and Appos, give it a year. We must save as much money as possible and then travel to the ancestral court. We and Appos, LL go there to find some good items to bring back." You want to go to the ancestral court? Zhang Haoshuan was taken aback. Tang San nodded. The way I saw it in the auction in Cali City, there are just too many good items to buy, and many of the owners have no idea what they own. We and Appos, we're not going to buy expensive items but to find bargains. And I also want to go to the ancestral court to learn what I can. Zhang Haoshuan said, "Alright, I and Appos, LL do my best to save more money for you and manage it well." Tang San said, "For now that will do. The really important point is keeping the entire thing a secret. Even if the entire organization puts pressure on you, you absolutely can't tell the truth. Otherwise we'll have a lot of problems in the long run." Zhang Haoshuan said, "Okay, then I and Appos, LL buy the materials now, and once I return we can start setting up." Tang San nodded. "I and Appos, LL choose a good location first and wait for your return." Zhang Haoshuan hurried off. However, Tang San didn't and Appos, T immediately choose a location to set up the formation. Instead, he turned his gaze toward the 18 Crimson Fox girls. "Come here," Tang San beckoned them. Immediately, the Crimson Fox girls gathered around him, chirping and laughing, bringing a fragrant breeze. Fox race women were known for their beauty and innate charm, a characteristic common to all Fox clans. The 18 Crimson Fox girls surrounded him, each wearing a faint smile, and bowed to Tang San, saying, "How are you, master?" Looking at them, Tang San and Appos' gaze was exceptionally clear. He said, "I and Appos, we heard some of you have already broken through to the second order. Who will show me your bloodline abilities?" The oldest, red one, said, "Master, let me do it." As she spoke, a faint red light rose from her body. Her jet black hair instantly turned dark red, and her long fox tail rose, emitting a faint red halo. Around her body there was a somewhat ethereal feeling. Red One gently swayed her body, and the sense of ethereality instantly intensified. Tang San narrowed his eyes, sensing around with his spiritual power. Refraction. Is this the effect of a second-tier bloodline ability? Indeed, the Red One before him was not actually before him at all. She had refracted her image about a meter from her actual location, creating that sense of ethereality. It wasn't an Appos, powerful, but it was very practical. It could easily mislead an opponent, especially during ranged attacks. Of course, against Tang San and Appos' formidable spiritual power, such tricks were futile. "Yes, Master, you're amazing. You figured it out immediately." Red One nodded in agreement. "Yes, Master, you're amazing. How did you figure it out?" "Master, you seem to have become more handsome, a bit different from the last time." "Master, you and Appos have grown taller." "Master, that golden tree is so magical. I and Appos am about to evolve too." With Zhang Haoshuan gone and Tang San looking young as he did, the Crimson Fox girls instantly became lively. "Everyone quiet down." Tang San waved his hand, and an invisible pressure burst forth from him, instantly quieting the Crimson Fox girls. "I could see Red One and Appos' change because my spiritual power is strong enough. Your illusion is useless in front of me, because I can lock onto your life energy signature with my spiritual power." Red One asked, somewhat confused, "Master, what does that mean?" Tang San said, "I and Appos, I'll explain to you in detail later. I will be around a lot more these days as I set up the array. The most important ability of your Crimson Fox bloodline is the illusion, which gets better as your cultivation level increases. However, even though you can somewhat defend yourselves, your actual combat abilities are close to zero. I and Appos, V thought about possibly enhancing your power lately, But that and Appos, another discussion. Your foundation is really weak, especially regarding physical strength. You need to improve your bodies, so you must continue cultivating next to the golden tree, absorbing its life energy to strengthen yourselves and solidify your foundation. As the life essence of the golden tree becomes more concentrated, the benefits it brings to you will also increase. After cultivating for a year, your foundation should be solid. I and Appos, find a way to enhance your overall abilities further. Now you can also cultivate your mental abilities. Today I will teach you a method called the Purple Demon Eyes. Starting tomorrow, every day before dawn, you must climb to the top of the nearby mountain and cultivate facing the rising sun. The climb will also serve as physical training and help you absorb more life energy. After spending days nurtured by the golden tree, the Crimson Fox girls had shown noticeable improvements in their health, and they were no longer as frail as when they first arrived. It was now time to enhance their new abilities. Their spiritual power and the illusion abilities of their Crimson Fox transformation were closely linked, so Tang San decided to teach them the Purple Demon Eyes. They would become essential assets to him in the future. Furthermore, once the Crimson Fox girls reached a certain level of cultivation, he planned to ask Zhang Haoshuan if they could join the Redemption Society to learn and better understand the world. Red One took the lead and said, "Thank you, Master." Tang San waved his hand and said, "You must study seriously. If you have any questions, ask me right away. No one should be left behind. You must also work hard for those who Haven and Appos." T reached the second order. Immediately, he imparted the method of cultivating the Purple Demon Eyes to the girls and personally demonstrated the energy circulation pattern. Zhang Haoshuan returned with the materials needed to create the array in only half a day. Before his return, Tang San had already chosen the locations and roughly outlined the 18 spirit summoning arrays, but it was up to Zhang Haoshuan to do the actual execution. This was also an opportunity for the mayor to gain hands-on experience. Meanwhile, the Crimson Fox girls observed from the sidelines. These 18 spirit summoning arrays were the foundation of the sky-swallowing array designed by Tang San. Tang San went to the peaks surrounding the valley to set up a series of illusion arrays. These illusion arrays would later be connected to the sky-swallowing array within the valley, maintained by the energy provided by the array to form a cyclical system. The two types of arrays were interlocked, creating an integrated closed-loop system that would allow the array to exist for a long time. The magic of arrays lay precisely in this. No matter how complex its structure, a single array typically produced only one effect. However, to truly harness the power of nature and even unleash immense might, it was necessary to have a design where different arrays interlocked with each other and complemented each other. Since purchasing the Crimson Fox girls, Tang San had also been considering how to arrange their future. Humans occupied such a weak position in this world that changing anything through their own power would require producing a god king. And even if Tang San did become a god king, it was not guaranteed that he could change things on a fundamental level all by himself. Therefore, he also needed support and he had to cultivate his own forces. With the Crimson Fox girls and Appos, weak foundation and not particularly strong bloodlines, how could they become powerful on their own? After multiple discussions with Zhang Haoshuan about arrays, as well as his own research concluding that arrays in this world were rather primitive, Tang San decided to guide the Crimson Fox girls down this path. With his expertise in arrays, teaching them would be no issue. The Spirit Summoning Array, a relatively simple array, would be the starting point. Over the next week, Tang San came daily to set up arrays and guide the Crimson Fox girls in cultivating the Purple Demon Eyes and in array formation. To his satisfaction, the girls and Appos, intelligence was not an issue. They could grasp the basics, and now it was just a matter of time. The Crimson Fox bloodline did not grant them much power, but their bloodline traits gave them a natural aptitude for spiritual power cultivation. After setting up the 18 spirit summoning arrays and through hands-on practice, Zhang Haoshuan had essentially mastered the layout of this array. Then, he learned about setting up illusion arrays from Tang San. And when it came to these illusion arrays, Tang San specifically guided the Crimson Fox girls because they were naturally adept at illusions. Combining their illusion abilities with such illusion arrays could greatly benefit them. Simultaneously, Tang San began to arrange a more complex array around the ancient golden tree, focusing on the pivotal point of his latest invention, the sky-swallowing array. Even Zhang Haoshuan felt overwhelmed when observing the intricate patterns and listening to Tang San and Appo's explanations during the setup process. Understanding such a complex array was not something that could happen overnight. Thus, while setting up the main array, Tang San taught them the basic techniques he was using. The fundamental principles behind an array were related to energy flow. The purpose of an array was to channel external energies through specific pathways to produce various effects. These complex pathways were typically unachievable within the human body, making it impossible for humans to harness such powers directly. However, tapping into the world and Appo's natural forces through an array became feasible. Furthermore, arrays could be made compatible with various types of energies far more easily than humans, and there was nothing to fear even if they failed. It was fair to say their applications were limitless. In Tang San and Appo's previous life, there had been little research on this aspect before his ascension to godhood. More specifically, before the world entered the era of firearms. Only after becoming a god had he made significant progress through continuous research in the divine realm. The most notable feature of Phelan Planet was its abundant resources and the boundless vitality of heaven and earth, which made it an ideal environment for setting up arrays. It took a whole half-month to complete the arrays in Appo's setup. In these 2 weeks, the golden tree grew 15 centimeters taller, and its life essence became even more vibrant. At the same time, Tang San taught his pupils consistently for these 2 weeks. Not only did the Crimson Fox girls benefit greatly, but even Zhang Haoshuan felt he had made significant progress in understanding arrays. Alright, today we will activate the array. Our base will be completely established once this sky-swallowing illusionary chain array is activated. Even demon emperors would find it difficult to see through the illusion. It would require an extremely powerful divine consciousness to do that. The complex array around the golden tree was constructed using many valuable materials, primarily minerals. Zhang Haoshuan spared no expense, making several rounds of purchases to meet Tang San and Appo's requirements. Tang San gazed at the golden tree, feeling its life essence, then looked down at the array on the ground. The inspiration for the sky-swallowing array was partly derived from the Dark Raven's bloodline ability of devouring energy. Combined with his understanding of arrays, he was reasonably confident in the array and Appo's reliability after several small-scale experiments. However, he had to make sure that all arrays within and around the valley were perfectly connected. Once they all functioned in unison, the grand array would truly show its power. The sky-swallowing illusionary chain array was far more complex than any arrays he had seen or set up in this lifetime. Master, activate the spirit summoning arrays. The Crimson Fox girls didn't and Appo's yet have the ability to activate the arrays, so Zhang Haoshuan personally lit up the 18 spirit summoning arrays he had set up around the valley. As he infused his bloodline power into them, the spirit summoning arrays began to emit a faint white glow. Seemingly stirred by the white luminescence, the air currents became noticeably stronger, showing that the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was rapidly converging. It seemed as if the entire valley was a gaping maw, voraciously absorbing the spiritual energy from outside. The air within the valley underwent wondrous changes, seeming fresher and more invigorating to the spirit. Zhang Haoshuan and Appo's eyes lit up immediately. The effect of a single spirit summoning array didn't and Appo's compare to the one supported by the golden tree, but the combined effect of 18 was much more substantial. Thinking of the array disc Tang San had mentioned, his heart surged with excitement. Tang San instructed Zhang Haoshuan to light these spirit summoning arrays while he flew to the mountain peak to activate the 36 illusion arrays he had set up. The first array produced a white haze, and as more and more arrays were activated, that haze slowly turned into a thick mist. Once all 36 illusion arrays were activated, from below in the valley, one could see that the valley was enveloped by a ring of mist, and it appeared ethereal and drifting, incredibly peculiar. Tang San flew back into the valley. He immediately felt that the spiritual energy had become richer, to the point where even the Crimson Fox girls with low cultivation felt a dizzying intoxication. He couldn't and Appo's help but smile, knowing the basic arrays were functioning correctly. It was time to link them together to activate the grand sky-swallowing illusionary chain array. As he approached the golden tree, Tang San and Appo's eyes shone brightly. The flicker of divine consciousness in his mind, much weaker than before, also sparkled. The array and Appo's focal point right in front of him began to emit a faint glow under the influence of his spiritual power, and the golden tree instantly brightened, the gold radiance emanating from it turning richer. Centered around the golden tree within a 30-meter diameter, a dense array of patterns filled the area. A pale golden halo rose upward, emitting an incredibly wondrous aura. The entire array did not activate immediately. Rather, it felt like a bud waiting to bloom. Zhang Haoshuan watched nervously from the side. Thanks to Tang San and Appo's previous explanation, he understood that this moment was crucial. Linking so many arrays together was incredibly difficult. Activating the array and Appo's focal point at just the right moment and instantly connecting all the subarrays was an essential step. This was due to the fact that the flow of the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, as well as the array's energy fluctuations, were all centered on the focal point. If there was a problem during the connection, all previous efforts could be wasted. Not only would the energy used to activate the array be wasted, but even the basic arrays could be damaged. Also, if the connection was not adequately established, the array might produce specific effects but not achieve a cohesive whole. He doubted his ability to instantly complete all the connections, as it required full mastery of the array changes. Naturally, he understood why Tang San did not entrust this critical task to him, but chose to undertake the final activation himself. The fog above the valley grew denser, and the spiritual energy within the valley became more abundant. Tang San waited patiently, but after a quarter of an hour, both Zhang Haoshuan and the Crimson Fox girls Kuden and Appo's helped but become anxious. Of course, at such a moment, no one dared to disturb him. Suddenly, Tang San and Appo's eyes opened wide, glittering with golden light. And from within the center of the sky-swallowing illusionary chain array, a golden light surged skyward. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth around the valley was suddenly drawn in even more intensely. All the spirit-summoning arrays burst out with intense white light, erupting like 18 geysers of light. The fog, 10 times denser than before, burst out around the top of the valley, making the light within the valley much dimmer. The golden light pillar that shot into the sky was the only light source, casting everything in gold. A bizarre hum filled the air. To Zhang Haoshuan and the Crimson Fox girls, everything around them seemed to transform magically. It was as if they had arrived in another illusory world, where everything around them was distorted, elusive, unreal even. 10 times denser than before, spiritual energy surged toward them, washing over them. Zhang Haoshuan was all right, even though his body emanated a faint red mist, but the Crimson Fox girls immediately collapsed to the ground as if intoxicated. The spiritual energy was too dense, and it exceeded what their bodies could withstand. But this sensation lasted only for a moment. The golden tree suddenly burst forth with a flash of incredible brilliance in the next instant, drawing a massive amount of spiritual energy toward the array that spanned 30 meters in diameter around it. In that instant, the dense fog in the sky seemed to be shaken. It parted slightly, and above the entire valley, directly above the golden tree, a hole about 100 meters in diameter appeared, allowing sunlight to pour down directly onto the golden tree. The soft golden light was now mixed with iridescent hues, and everything around it seemed to be imbued with magic. At this moment, what was once merely a green valley seemed to have transformed into a magical world. Within the valley, the vibrant vegetation dripped with even more vitality, and at its very heart, the golden tree stood proudly by the lakeside. A column of golden light shone down upon it as if the sun itself was intent on flooding it with light, illuminating the area within 30 meters of the golden tree. This column of light connected heaven and earth, as if it was the pillar supporting the sky. Then the dense golden light spread out, turning into a faint golden glow that covered the entire valley. Conversely, the vast amount of spiritual energy of heaven and earth in the valley surged into the array, and the incredibly dense spiritual energy that the Crimson Fox girls found unbearable became much thinner. Yet, the light of the golden tree became even brighter, and it burst forth with an incredibly rich aura of life. The 18 spirit summoning arrays that initially looked like fountains of white light now turned into a pale gold. They no longer seemed to be drawing in any energy. However, upon closer inspection, it was clear they had merged into one, fueling the golden array patterns beneath the golden tree. Tang San closed his eyes, silently sensing the state of the golden tree. The golden pillar of light visible within the valley was completely invisible from the outside. All that could be seen was the mountain range shrouded in clouds and dense fog, with the mist continually spreading outward, covering an even wider area. The illusory array concealed the valley and the state of the world in Apos' spiritual energy being absorbed. This was crucial to prevent the valley from attracting the attention of powerful beings. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth would silently disappear upon contact with the dense fog. The area covered by the fog was absorbing the energy, channeling it into the sky-swallowing illusionary chain array, and then into the golden tree, nourishing it. The longer the 36 illusionary arrays operated, the larger the area enveloped by the fog would become. The mist on the outskirts Wuden and Apos' be as dense, but the effect of absorbing the world in Apos' energy Wuden and Apos' diminish. Tang San Kuden and Apos' yet draw the spiritual energy from the entire Kali mountain range. Still, as the array gradually expanded, it would eventually cover at least 100 miles. With such rich spiritual energy, especially considering the already dense spiritual energy on Phelan, nourishing the golden tree and pushing it to evolve posed no problem. Witnessing the golden pillar of light in the sky and the surrounding fog tinted a pale gold, Zhang Haoshuan was filled with awe at this moment. He knew that even god-level powerhouses Kuden and Apos' achieve 1% of what Tang San had just done. The spiritual energy within the entire valley was no longer as dense as when the array was first activated. However, the valley and Apos' overall vitality was rising continuously. The golden tree absorbed a vast amount of energy to accelerate its growth and naturally radiated dense, splendid life essence. And as it grew, this life energy would only become even more intense. Bathed in this life essence, he felt comfort throughout his body. Gazing at Tang San and Apos' silhouette, Zhang Haoshuan unwittingly felt a sense of reverence. From recognizing what the golden wood was in that auction, all the way to creating such a space, could a child accomplish such wonders? Zhang Haoshuan was somewhat afraid to think further, and at the same time he didn't and Apos' want to. As long as he could be sure that everything Tang San did was for humanity, he would fully support his pupil. Compared to the demons and nymphs, humans were far too weak. He didn't and Apos' want his doubts to shatter this hope. Tang San and Apos' unreserved display of his capabilities naturally showed that he trusted his so-called master just as much as Zhang Haoshuan trusted him. Perhaps this was the savior bestowed upon humanity by the heavens. At this moment, Tang San and Apos' status in his heart had risen as high as anything could be. After carefully sensing and inspecting the array, Tang San took a deep breath, then turned to Zhang Haoshuan, nodding. It and Apos' ready. Now, anyone entering the illusionary array will be guided around the boundary and out another way, and they'll never pass through our valley. I didn't and Apos' set up a killing array within it, as that would bring unnecessary trouble. Also, you can only see the entire fog from here. From the outside, it's a lot less. It's pretty normal to see fog in the mountains, so this should be fine. As long as no powerful beings specifically scrutinize it or launch a large-scale attack on the area of our array, it won an Apos' be discovered. Zhang Haoshuan let out a deep breath in turn. Astonishing, truly astonishing. It was only when you linked the arrays that I could truly appreciate the intricacies of this chain array. Each part interlocks and complements the others. It and Apos' amazing. Such an array can only be described as a miracle. Tang San smiled slightly. I'm still weak right now. If I was powerful enough, I could even draw in the spiritual energy from the entire mountain range. Well, let an Apos' take it slowly, I guess. Then, he turned to the Crimson Fox girls, who by now had woken up from their stupor. You all must dedicate at least 2 hours each day to studying the array. Next time I come, there will be a test. Within a month, you must at least master the basic spirit summoning array. It is the foundation of all arrays because it can gather the energy other arrays need. Mastering arrays will allow you to defend yourselves better, and even attack in kind if need be. If we combine that with your abilities, you have a good direction to work toward. The Crimson Fox girls all bowed to Tang San in gratitude. Yes, master. Thank you, master. If initially they recognized him as their master simply because he had purchased them, now after half a month of being together, They truly admired him wholeheartedly. Tang San not only guided their cultivation but also planned their future direction and showed them the wonders of arrays, which seemed like the profound mysteries of the universe. Being with him felt like opening the door to another world, and most importantly, they saw the light of hope. Tang San didn't oppose. Teach them how to leave, deciding it was best for them to stay put for now, as they could not protect themselves. He crafted 2 array discs that allowed the user to easily navigate through the illusionary array, one for himself and one for Zhang Haoshuan, before they returned to Academy Town. In the following period, he began working with Zhang Haoshuan on crafting spirit summoning array discs. Initially, Zhang Haoshuan could only assist him, but after a month, Zhang Haoshuan was able to start making them on his own. Tang San and Appo's life also became more regular. He no longer went to the Kali Academy shop for cultivation, but to his Golden Valley. The growth rate of the golden tree accelerated noticeably, and every time he went there, he found the place more and more rich in life energy. At the same time, Tang San had Zhang Haoshuan gather as many exotic flower and herb seeds as possible and plant them in the valley. With the rich life essence emitted by the golden tree, any vegetation here would grow at an accelerated rate. The Crimson Fox girls were only too eager to learn about arrays, and Tang San guided them once he was done with his own cultivation. He and Zhang Haoshuan had discussed whether or not to inform others in the academy about Golden Valley, but Zhang Haoshuan immediately vetoed the idea. The chain array here was simply too marvelous. It was best to keep it a secret as much as possible. And 2 people could only keep a secret if one was dead. The most crucial secret was not the Golden Valley itself, but Tang San and Appo's capabilities. Tang San was the real hope for redemption, potentially the true savior of humanity in the future. Nothing was more important than his safety. Naturally, Tang San understood his well-meaning intentions and readily agreed. Zhang Haoshuan then got busy, and the primary reason was the spirit summoning array. He submitted a spirit summoning array disc to the Redemption Society, and quickly received a reply from the organization. Just as Tang San had surmised, the benefits of the spirit summoning array were immense. A small portable array for cultivation was truly miraculous and usable anywhere. Moreover, the richer the place in Appo's spiritual energy, the better its effects. The demand for the spirit summoning array was assured, and with the impressive network they had, the Redemption Society began to sell it. It was foreseeable that the spirit summoning array would bring massive wealth, which was obviously a desirable outcome for the Redemption Society. As for this, Tang San was unconcerned. His most important task now was improving his own cultivation. Life energy assisted the human body immensely, both physically and mentally. The brain nourished by life energy would, in turn, nourish the sea of consciousness. As he cultivated in the Golden Valley, Tang San and Appo's divine consciousness recovered faster than he had initially anticipated. Time passed day by day. While cultivating, Tang San most looked forward to Mei Gongzi and Appo's return. However, contrary to his wishes, there was no news of Mei Gongzi, nor any trace of where she could be. Whenever he missed her, Tang San would take out the milk teacup she had given him, finding solace in the item as he thought of her. In the blink of an eye, a year passed and Tang San was now 12. His previously depleted divine consciousness had fully recovered throughout the year, and now even surpassed its former state. His cultivation of the mysterious heaven technique had also successfully advanced to the pinnacle of the 7th order, and that was only because he deliberately suppressed it as he focused more on restoring his divine consciousness and nourishing his body. The Golden Valley was now brimming with various treasure plants. Under the influence of the rich life energy, any such natural treasures that arrived here grew at 10 to 100 times their normal rate. Zhang Haoshuan brought the ripe fruits to Redemption Academy and sold them to the students at low prices, allowing everyone to benefit from the Golden Valley and Appo's bounty. Zhang Haoshuan himself had well and truly advanced to the pinnacle of the 9th order, both in spiritual power and bloodline power, and he was just one step shy from breaking through to the god level. On Tang San and Appo's advice, he continued to accumulate power. The more he accumulated, the greater his chances of a successful breakthrough. The choice of location for the breakthrough was also crucial. Humans breaking through to the god level without being the vassals of a powerful demon or nymph clan was prohibited. Therefore, his breakthrough had to be done in secret. The disturbance caused by breaking through to the god level was quite significant. It could spell disaster if it alarmed the god-level powers of the demon race. Zhang Haoshuan had not yet decided on the location for his breakthrough. Over the past year, the most significant gain had not come from advancements in cultivation but rather from the sales of the Spirit Summoning Array discs. Once the Spirit Summoning Array hit the market, its price instantly skyrocketed. This item was useless to demon kings and the likes. However, the benefits of carrying a Spirit Summoning Array disc were evident for most demons and nymphs, who were not at the god level. It quickly became a desirable treasure among the nobility. Had it not been necessary to limit the number of units sold to keep the price from falling, Zhang Haoshuan could have produced hundreds of them in a year without a problem. Even so, this endeavor had brought them a substantial amount of wealth. The Redemption Society had made a hefty profit, and Zhang Haoshuan had received praise more than once for his contribution. Tang San sat cross-legged beneath a golden tree in meditation, the mysterious heaven technique in Appo's energy flowing through him like a mighty river. Though he was only 12, his physique had grown to that of a 17 or 18-year-old. His appearance had also become more handsome, and he now resembled his past life self quite a bit. He knew that this was an effect of his divine consciousness, and once he returned to the god level, his appearance would likely become identical to his previous lives. In this regard, although Mei Gongzi had reincarnated without the memories of her previous life, she seemed to undergo a similar transformation. During their time together, Tang San noticed she looked and acted more and more like Xiao Wu. A year had passed, and Mei Gongzi had not returned. Meanwhile, Kali City had become very peaceful. At least as far as Tang San knew, there was no news about the ancestral court targeting Kali City. Everything seemed to have calmed down, as if the ancestral court was unaware of the battle between the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor and the Peacock Great Demon King. Of course, Tang San was not privy to the amount of scheming happening in the shadows, so who knew what was going on behind the scenes? After a year of growth, the golden tree had reached a height of 10 meters. Spurred on by the sky-swallowing illusionary chain array, it grew lush and leafy, emitting an incredibly rich life essence. The Crimson Fox girls benefited the most from it. Each of them grew increasingly strong, healthy, and attractive. They were all in the prime of their 16 or 17 years of age, and they were at their most radiant under the nourishment of life energy. Thanks to this rich life energy, the 6 most talented Crimson Fox girls had now reached the 4th order, while the rest had reached the 3rd order. Tang San was delighted by their progress in the study of arrays. The girls gathered daily not for any other purpose but to research and discuss knowledge about arrays. Eager not to fall behind their peers, everyone worked hard. In a virtuous cycle, their insights into arrays actually surpassed those of the always busy Zhang Haoshuan. They had also gained the ability to inscribe the Spirit Summoning Array. Tang San now let them try to simplify various arrays and inscribe them on array discs and various items. He estimated that they could start helping him inscribe arrays on hidden weapons in no more than half a year. To him, the 18 Crimson Fox girls were indeed his people, and since he had never intended to keep them in this valley forever, Tang San spared no effort guiding them. In addition to the purple demon eyes, he also taught them the ghost shadow perplexing track to increase their ability to protect themselves. In the mist, a red figure silently approached, the glowing arrow on the array disc in their hand disappearing as they did. It was Zhang Haoshuan returning. "Mayor, good day." The Crimson Fox girls stood up one after another, respectfully greeting Zhang Haoshuan. Initially, they had intended to call Zhang Haoshuan Grandmaster, as, in a sense, they were Tang San and Appo's disciples. However, Zhang Haoshuan firmly refused, feeling somewhat ashamed because the knowledge he imparted to Tang San was far less than what Tang San had taught him. Thus, he asked the girls to address him simply as Mayor. Tang San also awakened from his meditation and stood up, saying, "Master, you and Appo's here." Amicham, Zhang Haoshuan nodded. Seeing that they had things to discuss, Red One led the girls away to a distance. Zhang Haoshuan extended his hand to Tang San. A light flickered on the back of his hand, and a pale blue pattern emerged. Tang San was taken aback, but then he smiled and cupped his fist. "Congratulations, Master, on being promoted to a blue-class Redeemer." Indeed, Zhang Haoshuan and Appo's S redemption rune had turned blue. This meant that he was only second to the purple class leadership. Zhang Haoshuan gave a wry smile. What an Appos! S there to congratulate. This is all because of the spirit summoning array. Also, the organization invited me to visit the headquarters. Not only that, but they'd like me to stay there. Ah! Tang San paused, then understood why the Redemption Society would want to do this. The profits of the spirit summoning array were astonishing, and having Zhang Haoshuan at the headquarters would undoubtedly make things safer and more controllable. Zhang Haoshuan said, I will visit the headquarters, but I refuse the transfer. Upon hearing Zhang Haoshuan and Appo's words, Tang San felt a warmth in his heart, understanding that Zhang Haoshuan and Appo's refusal to transfer was for his sake. In fact, if he had gone to the headquarters, he would likely have become a true high-ranking member. The array of the spirit summoning array was not very complex, and similar arrays existed in this world. However, to be able to inscribe a functional array on a small metal disc was beyond this world and Appo's knowledge of arrays. This alone had great significance for humanity's development, bringing the wealth necessary for the Redemption Society and Appo's advancement. With this skill, Zhang Haoshuan and Appo's importance to the Redemption Society was evident. Being a blue redeemer already counted as top brass. After all, how many true purple redeemers were there? It and Appo's better not to go. If you went back, sharing the profits wouldn't and Appo's be easy anymore. You can tell the headquarters that you're working to develop the academy and help Mei Gongzi rise to a higher position, Tang San said with a smile. Zhang Haoshuan glanced at him and said, Do you know about Mei Gongzi going into seclusion with the Peacock Great Demon King? She told me before she left. I Don and Appo's know how long this seclusion will take, Tang San said helplessly. Zhang Haoshuan said it will definitely not be short. According to our information, the Peacock Great Demon King and Appo's decision to take her into seclusion likely involves imparting the Peacock Demon Clan and Appo's secret techniques, truly intending to pass on the position of the clan leader to her. Her cultivation level is far from sufficient to inherit the position of clan leader. At the very least, she would need to reach the god level to be able to suppress those pure-blooded clan members. Think about how long it would take her to progress from the 7th order to the god level. Even with the Peacock Great Demon King and Appo's guidance, I estimate it would take at least 10 or 8 years. 10 or 8 years. Tang San and Appo's mouth twitched, a chill running through his heart, but he quickly shook his head and said, No, it cannot possibly take that long. The Peacock Great Demon King must have been seriously injured in the last great battle. Who knows if he can hold on for so long? Moreover, the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor probably won in Appo's wait that long either. Zhang Haoshuan nodded and said, In any case, we can only take one step at a time now. The thing I'm worried about is, even if she succeeds in ascending to the position, how will she stand against the oppression of the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor and the Ancestral Court? The level of a Demon Emperor and a Great Demon King is not the same, and she cannot possibly reach the level of strength the Peacock Great Demon Genji has. If the Peacock Demon Clan is suppressed or even annihilated, all our efforts thus far will be in vain. Tang San said, We Don and Appo's need to be so pessimistic. We and Appo's will do our best to help her. Master, do we have enough money to participate in an auction at the Ancestral Court? We do now. But there and Appo's an issue if you want to participate. My status was raised years ago through my relationship with Kali Academy. But you are still considered a vassal, and only nobles can participate in the high-level activities at the Ancestral Court, among which the auctions there. You need to become a noble if you want to participate there. Tang San and Appo's heart stirred. Actually, I remember you mentioned something during our participation in the Kali City Grand Auction. In the Kali City Arena, if you can achieve consecutive victories, there and Appo's a chance to obtain noble status? Zhang Haoshuan nodded. Yes, but it and Appo's very dangerous, even brutal. Hardly anyone can endure more than one battle, let alone the number they need to become nobles. I should be fine. It seems this is the only path available to us now. Zhang Haoshuan thought momentarily and said, Given your abilities, you might be able to accomplish it. However, you must not expose your other bloodline powers, or your mysterious heaven technique. Think it through. No worries, I am pretty confident. My cultivation has gotten very far in the past year. Zhang Haoshuan smiled. I do feel quite reassured about you. You're far more mature than everybody else your age. Alright, go ahead and do what you must. I also need to prepare. I and Oppos, LL returned to the headquarters to report in and see if I can request some assistance. Tang San was taken aback. Can you no longer suppress your cultivation? Are you about to break through? Zhang Haoshuan nodded. I must thank you for the life essence of this golden tree. As you know, the demonic god transformation inherited by us humans cannot compare to the original demon races, because our bloodlines cannot possibly be that pure. Under these circumstances, achieving godhood is extremely difficult for us. Only a very few with very pure bloodlines have this possibility. I thought I would be stuck at the ninth order for my entire life, and I'd never have the chance to touch the threshold of that world. However, after learning about a raise from you and being nourished by the life energy of the golden tree, my deficiencies were unexpectedly compensated for. And now I have an opportunity. Over half a year ago I reached the critical point, but I accumulated more as you suggested, and my foundation is as solid as it can be. Over this half year, the life energy from the golden tree has become even richer, and my level of life has also increased as I cultivated here. Now I and Oppos am almost unable to suppress it any longer. At this point, even someone as composed as the Mayor Kuden and Oppos helped but reveal a look of joy. Becoming a god was the most crucial transformation and evolution for any being. No matter how powerful a race was, there was no innate path to godhood. Active cultivation was required to overcome this immense hurdle. Naturally, the stronger a bloodline was, the stronger the person would be once they became a god. But even for the highest tier races, achieving godhood was not easy. It required effort from all aspects and even a considerable amount of luck. Once the breakthrough was successful, not only would their strength undergo a qualitative leap and their bloodline power greatly enhance, but more importantly, their lifespan would significantly increase. If untroubled by disasters or injuries, they could live for at least 300 to 500 years, depending on their bloodline. The lifespans of nymphs were even longer. Hu Wuden and Oppos want to attain a longer life, not to mention the tremendous leap in strength. If they were willing to cooperate with the demon or nymph clans, even humans would achieve a respectable status, effectively counting themselves among the higher echelons of society. For the Redemption Society, welcoming a god-level powerhouse would undoubtedly allow it to make a greater contribution to humanity and Oppos' evolution. A new god was an asset of strategic importance. Master, I have a suggestion for you, Tang San suddenly said to Zhang Haoshuan. What suggestion? Zhang Haoshuan looked at him, puzzled. Tang San said, I suggest you complete your breakthrough before going to the headquarters to report. Don and Oppos think about seeking the organization and Oppos' help. Why? How would I find a place on my own? You Don and Oppos know what it's like to break through. Without sufficient protection, I could easily be discovered. The demons and nymphs do not wish to see humans become gods. Tang San said, hear me out. If this happened a year ago, seeking the organization and Oppos' protection would be no problem, since the Redemption Society only hopes to have more god-level people. But now, the benefits of the spirit summoning array are just too significant, and the organization would surely want to keep as much of the benefits as possible. Actually, if they could secure all the benefits, it would greatly help the organization. Considering everything from a human perspective, the organization would act accordingly. At such a time, if you ask the organization for help and they ask you to hand over the method of creating the spirit summoning array discs, would you do it or not? Zhang Haoshuan was startled. Really? Our Redemption Society has always been fair and just. Tang San didn't and Oppos argue further, simply saying, but there and Oppos' at least a possibility, right? Zhang Haoshuan was silent but eventually nodded, conceding to Tang San and Oppos' point. Since there and Oppos' such a possibility, we should avoid it to prevent you from facing awkward incidents. This is very important. As for having a place for your breakthrough, I think we can sort that out. I and Oppos been thinking about a suitable location for your breakthrough, and I actually have a good place in mind. Zhang Haoshuan was taken aback. Where? Tang San smiled slightly and pointed toward the northeast. The sea. The sea? The surprise on Zhang Haoshuan and Oppos' S face grew even more intense. How could that be? The endless blue sea teems with marine life, including many formidable beings. If I rashly attempt to break through to the god level at sea, what if the anomalies attract the attention of sea beings? Tang San replied, the endless blue sea does have many sea beings, but the powerful ones live in the deep sea. We Don and Appos, have to go that far. Just away from the shore will do. Our Kali city has god-level beings, and there is a significant distance from here to the coast. We and Appos, only venture a certain distance into the endless blue sea, where encountering formidable marine creatures is unlikely. I and Appos, protect you. And what will they think once you break through to become a god on the high seas, even if our side detects the anomaly in Kali City? Their first thought would likely be that a marine creature has ascended to godhood. Would they rashly investigate? Perhaps they would have before, but given the deterrence of the sea god, I believe that with the current situation in Kali City, they wouldn't and Appos, investigate now. If anything, they'd grow more convinced of the existence of that sea god. Zhang Haoshuan looked at Tang San suspiciously and said, You talk about that sea god as if you have some connection to him. Aran and Appos, you afraid that if there is a sea god, he might swallow both your master and you whole? Tang San smiled faintly. You and Appos re not wrong. That sea god really does have a bit of a connection to me. Zhang Haoshuan stepped back in shock. Tang San quickly waved his hands saying Don and Appos, misunderstand. When I say there and Appos, a connection, I mean I'm connected to him just like I'm connected to the fog in this valley. You mean that sea god from before was conjured by you using an array? But what about that pressure? That was genuinely the pressure of a demon emperor. Zhang Haoshuan and Appos' face was filled with disbelief. Tang San shrugged that and Appos' the marvel of the array. Using a series of chained arrays makes it possible to temporarily create that kind of pressure. It was done by harnessing the power of nature, using a vast amount of water elemental energy. If you Don and Appos, believe me, I can set up another one for you. Hell no, do you want to scare Kali City to death? Zhang Haoshuan of course couldn't and Appos, let him do it again. Without the existence of the sky-swallowing illusionary chain array, he wouldn't and Appos, have believed that Tang San could achieve such a feat, but having witnessed the wonders and essence of this chain array himself and personally benefiting from the growth of the golden tree, he couldn't and Appos, help but believe. He looked at Tang San, his face showing a mix of wonder and fear. Is there anything you can in Appos, do? Tang San chuckled, there are still many things I can in Appos, do. He couldn't and Appos, help but recall various memories from his past life, his greatest regret undoubtedly being his failure to protect his most loved one. He breathed deeply to steady his emotions and said, anyway, please consider my proposal. Make more preparations in the meantime. I and Appos, first head to the Great Beast fighting arena to claim my noble status. Once you and Appos, decided, we can visit the endless blue sea. Alright, let me think about it. Zhang Haoshuan did not disagree immediately, but neither did he rush to agree. He needed to consider it. He was still not quite ready to give up on the headquarters. After all, the headquarters had more experience safeguarding humans on their path to godhood. It was much safer there than anywhere else. Except he couldn't help but take into account Tang San's warning. Tang San gave the Crimson Fox girls some cultivation instructions, and then returned to Redemption Academy with Zhang Haoshuan. Over the past year, not only had he been making progress, but his companions had as well. With the help of various spirit herbs and fruits grown in the Golden Valley, all students at Redemption Academy had made progress to varying degrees. Dubai and Appos' celestial fox transformation was still at the 5th order, but his spiritual power was long since comparable to that of an 8th order powerhouse. This naturally pushed forward his cultivation, and breaking through to the 6th order was just a matter of time. The 7th order, however, was a matter of concern. Wu Bingji and Appos' progress was even faster. He had broken through to the 8th order and officially transitioned from student to assistant instructor. Due to Tang San and Appos' low profile over the past year, Wu Bingji was recognized as the top among the students. Chang Zicheng and Appos' golden rock transformation had progressed rapidly, and she was nearing the peak of the 7th order, second only to Wu Bingji. Guli and Apos' chrono-croc transformation was more troublesome. He was still at the 6th order, although steadily improving. Advancing further to the 7th order would mark a significant transformation, something Tang San was very much looking forward to. The reason Tang San planned to visit the ancestral court had multiple purposes. To investigate the situation of the ancestral court was one, and to look for opportunities or cop bargains was another. His motivation for doing so wasn't Apos' for himself. He had a detailed plan for his cultivation, and with the assistance of the golden tree, he would Apos' face any issues before reaching the peak of the 9th order. What he truly desired was to accelerate the growth of his companions. Their growth was his, especially in the Celestial Fox transformation and Chrono-Croc transformation. While the other students did not advance as rapidly as the members of their small team, especially in terms of bloodline differences, many still reached above the 6th order. The Redemption Academy continued to enroll students, expanding its scale to nearly double what it was when Tang San first arrived. However, most of these new students had little impression of Tang San, as he seldom appeared within the academy. His time spent in the Redemption Society was even less than the time he spent as Sweeper Tang at Kali Academy. Upon returning to Redemption Academy, Tang San did not linger but went straight to the Great Beast Fighting Arena. To achieve a noble title in the Great Beast Fighting Arena, he first needed to understand the rules. Zhang Haoxuan had told him last time that winning 10 consecutive matches would suffice for the demon race, but it would require winning 100 successive matches for human vassals. Not to mention whether winning 100 consecutive matches was even feasible, just the time it would require made it a ridiculous hurdle. Even if he was capable of fighting 100 times in a row, scheduling so many matches at the Great Beast Fighting Arena alone was a complete nightmare. He wanted to see if any shortcut could allow him to quickly achieve his goal of becoming a noble. Tang San first checked on his companions. The Academy and Apos' ban had been lifted half a year ago, so they were free to leave now, but Guli was in closed-door cultivation, striving to break through to the 7th order. Chang Zicheng was not there, reportedly having gone to buy things in the city. Wu Bingji and Dubai were free, so Tang San simply invited them to accompany him to the Great Beast Fighting Arena for a visit. Little Tang, you and Apos' always so mysterious. One can hardly see you these days. You used to be here in the evenings, but nowadays you Don and Apos' even come back at night. Are you living at Kali Academy? Asked Wu Bingji. Dubai looked at Tang San with a mix of reproach and longing. Exactly, you Don and Apos' come back to accompany me in cultivation. Without your company, when will I be able to break through to the 6th order? Tang San glanced at him irritably. To break through to the 6th order, you must put in some effort. I can and Apos' just make some Celestial Fox bloodline power pop into existence. I spend more time living at Kali Academy. The spiritual energy there is more abundant, so I can cultivate faster. Wu Bingji also ignored Dubai, asking, what do you want to do at the Great Beast Fighting Arena? Tang San replied, I want to participate in the Great Beast Fighting Arena combat to obtain a noble title. Afterward, I plan to visit the Ancestral Court with my master to see if there are any opportunities. To the Ancestral Court? Wu Bingji and Dubai exclaimed in unison, their eyes lighting up immediately. The Ancestral Core was the most revered existence on the entire demon continent. The most powerful beings of the demon and nymph races resided there. It was also said to house the core spiritual veins of the entire demon continent, making it a sacred place for all demon and nymph clans. Novel Lunar logo. Novel Lunar. Home. Browse. Genres. Search novels. Login. Novel Lunar logo. Novel Lunar. Home. Latest updates. New novels. Completed. Ranking. Genres. Login. Soul Land 5. The Rebirth of Tang San. Chapter 278. Chapter 278. October 30th, 2025. Previous. 278. 1101. Next. Novel AI Studio explore our top 10,000 plus free novels. For human vassals, entering the Ancestral Court was no easy task, let alone searching for fortunes within. Tang San nodded. I plan to look over there. Take me with you. Dubai didn't and Apos' hesitate to wrap his arm around Tang San and Apos' attempting to lean his head on his shoulder. Tang San pushed his head away, step aside. What would you do there? Dubai coughed and said, if possible, could you talk to the mayor about taking me along? Senior brother, you want to go too? Tang San looked at him in surprise. Dubai said irritably, Hu Wuden and Appos. T want to visit the ancestral court? It and Appos, a place we and Appos. We all dreamed of since we were young. We and Appos. We always heard stories about it. They say it's filled with countless strong beings and treasures. I also heard that demon and nymph clans can elevate their bloodline tiers if they enter the ancestral court. Tang San said legends are just legends after all. Besides, the celestial fox demon emperor is likely to be there. Aran and Appos. T you afraid of being discovered? Dubai shrugged. Why would someone like that notice a small fry like me? Don and Appos. T worry it and Appos. I'll be fine. You have to take me with you. Tang San helplessly said, it and Appos. It's not something I can decide. Also, with just the status of a human vassal, it and Appos. It's not easy to enter the ancestral court. Then let and Appos. Fight in the great beast fighting arena together. Dubai said excitedly. Get lost. Tang San and Wu Bingji said in unison. Dubai and Appos. Celestial fox transformation absolutely Kuden and Appos. Be exposed. Fight in the great beast fighting arena? If it was discovered that he had the celestial fox bloodline, it would spell huge trouble. Yet Dubai was tempted. I could give it a try. Tang San was beginning to regret bringing them along. He truly had an and Appos. Anticipated the ancestral court and Appos' attraction to be this immense. He could only try to pacify them for now. Let and Appos' first check out the rules at the great beast fighting arena. Even I am not entirely sure I can do it. Kali City had already returned to its former prosperity. The traces of the battle from a year ago long since vanished. When they passed Meigongzi and Appos' milk tea shop in the center of Kali City, Tang San saw that the shop was open and Meigongzi and Appos' mother was at the counter. Wait for me, Tang San told Dubai and rushed to the milk tea shop. There were an and Appos' many people in line, so it was quickly his turn. Auntie I and Appos' like 3 milk teas, Tang San said to Su Qin. Su Qin saw him and was slightly stunned. You are? Tang San smiled slightly. It and Appos' me auntie. My name is Tang San. I and Appos' a friend of Meigongzi. It and Appos' you. You and Appos' we grown a lot taller. She was secretly astonished. In her memory, Tang San was still a child, but now, he appeared as a radiant young man, around 17 years old, tall and straight and handsome. Most striking was his mysterious yet solid aura that even she found impressive. Tang San said, maybe I and Appos' we just grown up. Auntie Meigongzi has an Appos' been to school for a year now. When will she be back? Su Qin shook her head. I don't and Appos' no either. She went on a study tour. Oh, I see. Here, auntie, let me pay. Tang San was about to pay, but Su Qin stopped him. For a few cups of milk tea, no need for money. Take them and enjoy. Tang San hesitated for a moment but still accepted the milk tea. Then thank you. There was no need to be polite with his future mother-in-law. However, he felt a bit regretful for not being able to get any news about Meigongzi. With the milk tea in hand, Tang San rejoined Dubai and Wu Bingji and continued toward the great beast fighting arena. As she watched their departing figures, a flicker of light crossed Su Qin and Appos' eyes. This child is growing up fast. He and Appos' the mayor and Appos' disciple, so he must be quite young, even younger than Mei. He and Appos' developing quite quickly. Tang San shared the milk tea with his companions. It wasn't Appos' their first time drinking milk tea from Meigongzi and Appos' shop. Enjoying the familiar taste, Dubai exclaimed, this is really good. It and Appos' a pity we can and Appos' come to the city often, or I and Appos' want to drink this every day. As Tang San silently drank his milk tea, savoring the mild taste mixed with the fragrance of milk, he couldn't and Appos' help but think of a certain graceful figure. He truly missed her. Please come back soon. Upon approaching the great beast fighting arena, the distant, majestic structure sprawled through the city like a colossal beast. Even from afar, they felt an ominous aura, as if the air itself whispered bloody tales. Too many creatures had ended here, their departing malevolence lingering long after their demise. The trio neared the great beast fighting arena and quickly located the registration area. Not within the arena itself but in an adjacent house. They found it bustling with many waiting to register. However, humans were few and the vast majority were of the demon clans. In any case, 3 humans amidst the crowd hardly drew the attention of the demon folk. Tang San asked Dubai and Wu Bingji to wait for him while he queued up, simultaneously lending an ear to the demons and Appos, discussions and their exchanges with the arena staff. Just as he expected, everything here revolved around money. The Great Beast Fighting Arena derived its income from ticket sales and gambling, so it naturally needed thrilling battles to make profit. Thus, participants Warren and Appos, limited to slaves, vassals, and demonic beasts. Anyone capable of combat could be arranged to fight, provided they offered some spectacle. Even ordinary folk could come to watch the matches and engage in betting, making it a widely enjoyed entertainment. Nobles, in particular, relished the thrills found here. Where did the participants in the beast battles come from? There were demonic beasts caught in the mountains and slaves, but there were even more demons and humans that registered voluntarily. The demon clans were inherently combative, with strength being the most important criterion for status. That was one reason. The other and most crucial reason was money. The Great Beast Fighting Arena rules were simple. Defeat your opponent to earn a monetary reward. The more consecutive victories you achieved, the more money you earned. Similarly, challenging opponents with many consecutive wins offered more money, but also posed greater risks. Therefore, many demons who believed in their strength saw the Great Beast Fighting Arena as a money-making gig. For the truly powerful, earning money here was not too difficult. However, the likelihood of encountering formidable opponents was also high. Achieving a noble title through continuous victories was exceedingly rare. Once you amassed enough consecutive wins, you were bound to face a powerful adversary. That was an unwritten rule of the Great Beast Fighting Arena. Then, Tang San discovered that the Great Beast Fighting Arena offered one-on-one duels and team battles. Compared to duels, team battles were far more brutal. If one side conceded in a duel, the match could end. This meant you had a chance to surrender before your opponent killed you, or the arena staff could save you, allowing you to survive. However, team battles were extremely ruthless. A match would and Appos end until all members of one side were dead. Hence, team battles were more popular among spectators for their absolute bloodshed. However, due to such rules, fewer demons registered for team battles, resulting in fewer battles than duels. Then there were the spectacle fights, arranged officially by the Great Beast Fighting Arena. These typically pitted powerful beasts against slaves or vassals, using bloody scenes to stimulate the audience and Appos' senses. The vast majority of slaves and vassals had no chance of surviving. Slaves primarily participated in these battles. If a slave managed to survive 3 such fights, they were eligible to become vassals, and this was the most direct way for a slave to leave their status behind. Therefore, slaves thrown into these battles fought desperately. Unfortunately, in most cases, the beasts they were up against were just too formidable. Without a doubt, this was a place of utter cruelty, so brutal that it could be described in no other terms. Yet, it was also a land brimming with opportunities. These so-called chances lured competitors, who then offered up their blood and even their lives for others' entertainment. As he listened in, Tang San found out something rather important. If a team secured 10 consecutive victories, all surviving members would be elevated to nobility, regardless of race, and treated without discrimination. This was far more efficient than winning 100 solo matches as a vassal. The group battle required a minimum of 3 people for registration. The number of participants registered determined the number of opponents they would face. Tang San stepped from the line without finalizing his team and Appos' arrangement or registering. His departure caused laughter to ripple around him, with cries of coward and the like being common. But for those who came here to register for the competition, such reactions were to be expected. Though they came here to register and earn money in a moment of impulsiveness, many lost their nerve upon arrival, a scene all too common. Approaching Wu Bingji in Dubai, Tang San pointed at the registration desk and said, "There are 2 ways to attain nobility. Win 100 consecutive matches in solo battles or 10 in group battles. A group battle only ends when one side is dead. At the very least, all opponents must be incapacitated, but in most cases it ends with eliminating one side. You mean we should enter the group battle? Wu Bingji suggested. Let and oppose. Do it, Dubai exclaimed, pumping his fist. Beat it, what an oppose is it to you? Tang San replied irritably. Of course you should take me. If worst comes to worst, I won and oppose. Use my bloodline power. Can and oppose. I just lie down and pretend I'm dead? Dubai said, putting on a wrong face. How can you say such shameless words with such conviction? Wu Bingji asked, clearly annoyed. Dubai chuckled. It and oppose. Because I trust you guys. I believe you and oppose enough. Let and oppose. Call Gu Li and Zicheng. The 5 of us are enough. It and oppose. Perfect for a group battle. Then we can head to the ancestral court together. It and oppose. It'll be great. Little Tang, I think it and oppose. A good idea too, Wu Bingji said, eyes gleaming with eagerness. Tang San smiled wryly. It's too risky and the teachers won and oppose. Agreed to it. Is it that you don and oppose? Trust your strength or you don and oppose? Trust ours? I and oppose. V mastered the soul-chasing cluster ball. Wu Bingji and oppose. Fighting spirit was well-founded. Over the past year, his diligent cultivation had elevated him to the 8th order, and his control over the ice element had also advanced significantly. He was quite confident in his current abilities. Let and oppose. Go back and discuss it. We should consult with our teachers, Tang San said. Of course he was inclined toward the group battles, considering that it would save him a massive lot of time. Except for Dubai and oppose. Celestial Fox transformation which couldn't and oppose. Be exposed, revealing the abilities of his other companions Wazn and oppose. Such a big deal. Those who registered to compete voluntarily and Waren and oppose. Part of the great beast fighting arenas were allowed to wear masks to conceal their real identities during the competition. Let and oppose go. Fully intent on claiming the win by doing nothing at all, Dubai led the way out, even more proactive than Tang San and Wu Bingji. Upon returning to the Redemption Academy, Tang San went straight to Zhang Haoshuan, while Wu Bingji sought out his own master Guanlong Jiang. Participating in the great beast fighting arenas required the teachers and oppose approval. Do you have confidence? Zhang Haoshuan asked Tang San. If I don't reveal any of my abilities, about 80%. If I reveal some of them, then it and oppose over 90%. And if I go full throttle, 99%. As for bringing everyone back safely, I can guarantee that, Tang San said. Great beast fighting arenas did not allow the presence of god-level warriors, as decreed by the ancestral court. At his current level, Tang San had nothing to fear from opponents below the god level. Zhang Haoshuan nodded, but this is a matter of great importance. You are too important to the academy and the organization. Although I oversee the entire academy, it and oppose, not something I can decide on my own. You and oppose, I'll still need to find a way to convince the other teachers. I do have an idea. See if it might work, Tang San said, whispering a few words in Zhang Haoshuan and oppose's ear. Zhang Haoshuan and oppose's expression instantly became animated, then slightly bizarre. I think it and oppose's feasible. Just like that. Ha ha. You guys must give it your all. Tang San couldn't and oppose help but smile. By the time he and Zhang Haoshuan returned to the Redemption Academy, they saw Guanlong Jiang waiting grimly as soon as they entered. Upon seeing Tang San, his face darkened even more. Tang San, have you lost your mind? Old Guan Don and oppose be angry. Please calm down, Zhang Haoshuan quickly said. Calm? How can I stay calm? Your precious disciple is about to lead our core members to their deaths, and you and oppose asking me to stay calm? Is this what you taught him? Guanlong Jiang said, barely holding back the urge to curse out loud, his voice thick with anger. Wu Bingji peeked out from afar, his somewhat disheveled appearance making it clear he had been scolded. It was more than a scolding. When he returned and proposed their idea to Guanlong Jiang, he was berated harshly. Do you not know what the Great Beast Fighting Arena is? Huh. Guanlong Jiang pointed at Zhang Haoshuan and oppose's nose, his anger surging. That place is not just a den of filth. It is filled with bloodshed. They will never allow what they consider lower races to become nobles. And individual fights are one thing, but group battles are to the death. Do you want to ruin the great situation we in Oppos V spent so many years building? Your disciple hardly ever shows up, and now when he does, he brings us this mess. If he wants to die, let him go alone. Don and Oppos T let him drag the academy down with him. Enough. Zhang Haoshuan said irritably, just calm down and listen to me. Guanlongjiang and Oppos S raised voice drew the attention of other teachers and students. Mu Wenqing was the first to come forward and try to smooth things over. Old Guan Don and Oppos T be so hot-tempered. What in Oppos S going on? Guanlongjiang and Oppos S lips buzzed as he reported the situation to him through voice transmission. What? Have they gone mad? Mu Wenqing was taken aback, his gaze turning somewhat unfriendly toward Tang San. Can you listen to me? Zhang Haoshuan and Oppos S expression darkened, and the mayor and Oppos S authority burst forth. Siru leisurely just coming out of his room didn't and Oppos T approach. Instead, he watched the drama unfold with a detached interest. Speak then. Did you instigate this? Guanlongjiang still couldn't and Oppos T calm down. Of course not. But I don't think it's unfeasible. You all understand how important noble status is. If humans could attain noble status the way demons do, many things would become much easier. But the ways for us to get that status are extremely limited, and fighting in the great beast fighting arena is the most direct method. If we are strong enough, then we might bet on this, no? Nonsense. Are you trying to send them to their deaths? Guanlongjiang retorted. Why are you so impulsive today? Don and Oppos T-Rush, hear me out, Zhang Haoshuan said. They want to participate in the group battles, and I was against it too at first. As you said, it and Oppos S dangerous, and they are our core disciples. However, Tang San told me that if they could prove their strength, I should allow them to compete. In other words, they believe they are confident in facing the great beast fighting arena and Oppos S group battles. How will they prove it? Mu Wenqing asked. With a hint of resignation, Zhang Haoshuan turned his head to look at Tang San, who stepped forward and said, the five of us, with Brother Du by not directly participating in the battle, challenge Teacher Guan, Teacher Mu, and Teacher Yu. All three of you are formidable opponents. If we win, does that mean we qualify to compete? Guanlongjiang laughed incredulously. You want to challenge us? It would be 4 against 3, but all three were teachers. Guanlongjiang had recently advanced to the 9th order, Mu Wenqing was at the peak of the 8th order, and Mu Yunyu was in the mid-8th order. Although they couldn't and Oppos T compare to Siru or Zhang Haoshuan, all three teachers were seasoned fighters. It seems life never slapped you down, I guess. Fine then, challenge accepted. Guanlongjiang agreed without hesitation, filled with righteous indignation. He failed to notice the amused smile playing at the corners of Zhang Haoshuan and Oppos S mouth. Judging the strength of Tang San and his companions seemed straightforward to him. Wu Bingji was naturally the strongest among them. His 8th order strength was not weak, already on par with the teacher and Oppos S. However, his time at the 8th order was relatively short, and compared to the experienced teachers he was likely inferior in all aspects. Chang Zicheng and Guli had grown stronger, but Guli was still at the 6th order, and Chang Zicheng at the 7th. Although their demonic god transformations were incredibly powerful, the gap in cultivation was significant. As for Tang San, he was also at the 7th order, not yet having reached the 8th. Guanlongjiang alone could quickly deal with these youngsters, so having Mu Wenqing and Mu Yunyu fight together with him seemed overkill. How could Tang San and his companions stand a chance? Teacher, we and Oppos LL discuss our tactics now. Is that okay? Tang San smiled. All right. Guanlongjiang and Oppos S anger hadn't and Oppos T subsided. He turned and walked toward Zhang Haoshuan, whispering something to him. Seeing his angry face and the occasional glances cast his way, Tang San understood it was not praise, but most likely criticism directed at him. Tang San told Wu Bingji, senior brother, could you please bring back Sister Zicheng and Brother Guli? Tell them about the situation, and get them to work with us? Wu Bingji laughed. There's no way they'll say no. We and Oppos we all been feeling pent up lately. It and Oppos S been long since we and Oppos we been out or had a real battle. Everyone feels like they and Oppos V made significant progress, but they had no opportunity to test their skills. This is perfect. If you and Appos re-confident, so are we. Tang San smiled and nodded, and Wu Bingji quickly left to do as asked. Dubai looked dejected. So, I and Appos am not participating? Tang San chuckled. You and Appos, re just not entering the fray. When did I say you couldn't and Appos? T participate. Do you need to be on the field to use your luck? Can and Appos. T you use it before the battle? Right. Dubai and Appos. S eyes lit up, his face instantly showing excitement. But what about later in the arena fights? If I don an Appos, T enter the battle, I won an Appos. T get a noble title. By then of course you and Appos. LL enter the battle. I and Appos. LL tell you what to do later. Trust me, you'll play a big part, Tang San said. It and Appos. S decided then. You and Appos. Re always the best to me. Dubai spread his arms for a hug, only to be pushed away by Tang San. It didn't end Appos. T take long for Wu Bingji to bring back Gu Li and Chang Zicheng. They were already on their way back and happened to meet on the mountain path. Seeing the excitement in Chang Zicheng and Gu Li and Appos, S eyes, Tang San understood he didn't end Appos. T need to persuade them further. How are we going to fight? Chang Zicheng said eagerly, rubbing her hands together. We 4 against the 3 teachers should stand a good chance. Senior brother, you know teacher Guan the best. Can you handle him? Tang San asked. Wu Bingji nodded. It should be possible for me to hold him back. For a short time, definitely no problem. However, now that he's at the 9th order, he and Appos. S much stronger than me in terms of bloodline power, so there's no way I can win. It won and Appos. T take long for us to come to your aid. Brother Gu, you and Appos. Responsible for facing Teacher Mu. Use the chaotic wind hammer technique and your chrono croc transformation to hold him off for at least 15 seconds. Do you have confidence? Guli responded without hesitation. I and Appos am able to do 36 strikes of the chaotic wind hammer, and my chrono croc transformation can now both pause time and accelerate it. Do you need to ask if I and Appos am confident? I and Appos. LL give the teacher a surprise. Tang San turned to Cheng Zicheng. Sister Zicheng, you take the air. I and Appos. LL take the front. Within 10 seconds we and Appos. LL take down teacher Yu. Then assist brother Gu and finally support brother Bingji. Okay, Cheng Zicheng agreed, smiling. Seeing their spirits so high, Tang San Kuden and Appos. T helped but chuckle. He stepped forward from the group to Guan Longjiang. Teacher Guan, we and Appos, ready. We can start at any time. Guan Longjiang glared at him, then turned to look at Zhang Haoshuan, who appeared utterly unfazed. Come on, let's do it. Soon, in the courtyard of the Redemption Academy, both sides took their positions. On one side were the 4 led by Tang San, and on the other, the 3 teachers, Guan Longjiang, Mu Enqing, and Mu Yunyu. Above Dubai and Appos, S head, the white phantom of the celestial fox shimmered, its 2 tails becoming more substantial. For beams of white light fell directly onto Tang San and his teammates, and Dubai chuckled as he stepped aside. Luck was with them. Guan Longjiang merely glanced at him but said nothing. After all, as a teacher, he had his dignity to maintain. All the students of Redemption Academy were watching, especially the ones who had recently enrolled, their faces full of curiosity. Are students challenging teachers? Are the seniors really that powerful? Siru stood next to Zhang Haoshuan, asking in a low voice, how do you see this match going? No